What is up, you heathens and demons, you sinners and saints, beautiful blasphemous bastards? Welcome back. We were just doing this for like 3.5 hours. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to get this over with. Probably not do anything tomorrow. I said I was going to do an open room tonight, but this happened. And I did watch ahead, and, I wasn't thinking. I was like, maybe I could try to censor what's coming. But I don't have my Adobe working right now. I'm deciding like if I'm gonna use something else. So yeah, that couldn't happen. But I did kind of time mark, the few times that it's gonna happen. I'll once again be given plenty of warnings on that. And to kind of set us up, if you didn't see what happened before, and I see what's up, Kent Hovind CPA. Literally an hour and a half of 2 hours last night after initially complimenting my take on OSAS, it delved into this just pile on of your boy, which is going to happen in these kind of rooms. So far, the conversation is borderline just, the outrageous, I'm not really a Christian. I'm this horrible, stupid person. So now it's going to get into the insanity. Of it. It's not going to take long to get there. I kind of stopped it at a good point, I think. Because Smokey is coming in now. And then there was the icky taint. So, we're going to get right back into it. Got something in my mouth. Not sure what that is. Yeah, nasty. We're going to get back into it. Starting just before I left off, just a few hours ago. And we got quite a bit to go. So, going to get right into the insanity pretty quickly. Smokey Saint going to get cray-cray with the bigotry and all that. He's really angry. He's going to be really angry at your boy. But like I said, like I prefaced last time, I find it ludicrous. Smokey Saint would be bringing up, pulling him at Powell for one. I have to warn you, he's going to pull him at Powell. He's going to really link homosexuality to a lot of things, pedophilia being one of them. He's going to accuse me of being a pedal lover. And how I, as a secularist, don't have an argument against pedophilia if I support homosexuality. It's going to get cray-cray. It's going to get dark. There's going to be slurs involved. It's Smokey Saint, and as I prefaced, if you have seen the few times I've went up in Smokey Saint's room here lately, it's been kind of nice. We've been nice to each other. That was burnt to the ground last night, y'all. And y'all are about to see that shit. So, without further ado, the dumbest atheist on YouTube. It's going to continue being the dumbest atheist on YouTube. Vecco thinks that that he wants to be an executive producer, so maybe that'll help out, So, let's get back into it.
Bang your mother in heaven.
Oh, yeah, no, I actually find Islam. This might surprise you guys. I actually find Islam to be more atrocious than Christianity.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the opposite, and I was going to disagree with you, but
no,
yeah,
Islam never progressed. At least Christianity has progressed.
Yeah.
We're progressed in what way? I gotta, because you're a liberal, so I gotta understand what you mean.
Well, I mean, you're not burning witches anymore, right?
Yeah, those were. Hold on. Those weren't Christians. Those were a Puritan cult. Those weren't Christians.
They weren't all Puritans, and they weren't all Catholics. Protestants were doing it as well.
No. The Puritan cult was a specific segmented group that came here for religious freedom. And then took advantage
in America.
Of freedom.
All right, so I told y'all we left off, and I was like, "Is this where I left off?" But yeah, I left off. I told y'all. I've said that before. I think that Christianity has progressed, where Islam not so much. And just throwing an example out there. You guys don't burn witches no more. No, you have to understand the level of stupidity that's about to come your way. And Smokey's in now. He's in. He's all in now. It's about to happen. It's about to get cray-cray. Buckle your seatbelts. Salem witch trials, yeah, sure, that was Puritan, but I'm talking about the witch burnings all across the world for the last 2,000 years.
Rage.
What is wrong with you?
That didn't happen.
It didn't happen in Ireland. So Kenny Rhodes, he was in like briefly earlier, and then he will become an issue later on when it settles down and Danny comes in and really starts to talk. Catholics and Protestants both weren't burning witches in Ireland? Seriously?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Not in Ireland that I'm aware of. It definitely happened in the British Isles.
Some of the worst.
See what I'm talking about?
Some of the worst, well, not burnings. I think they were hanging them, but like some of the worst witch trials that like these people like don't even understand Christian history. There were in Ireland. What are y'all talking about? I literally did a video on Galis Duncan. Galis Duncan.
Like this in Britain. I'm aware of it happening in larger England, like the UK.
Yeah.
No, it happened in Ireland too.
Hold on. It
happened in Ireland too.
It doesn't matter.
Look up Galis Duncan.
It doesn't matter. Those people were slaying true Christians, true believers, because they weren't affirming extra tenets. That Catholicism had incorporated. So, like, you're going to say, oh, they were burning.
It just wasn't
witches.
Catholicism. It was both.
They were burning true believers in Christ, claiming them witches. Like, they weren't even, it's not like they were actually even burning pagans. Like, you're not even getting your history straight here. Like, the people they were torturing weren't even pagans in the.
Like, so the stupidity of Smokey saying is he actually thought that I said they were actually burning witches. I don't. No, yeah, they weren't actually burning witches. I mean, some of them were, there was different names for them back then. But basically, there was usually a woman in town that knew all the herbs and knew, she was like a healer, and she was often associated with witchcraft. And a lot of times they associated themselves with witchcraft. The Pendleton witch trials is an example of that. The entire family considered themselves to be witches. But the point isn't that. Like, the point is, for one, Smokey came in and was trying to put it on just Puritans, which that's the Salem witch trials, dude. Yes, that happened in a Puritan society, but it's happened in many Christian societies because the Holy Bible condemns witchcraft. The Catholics have a whole book on it. And throughout history, the Catholics did a lot, but Protestants did it as well. Now, I mentioned Galis Duncan. I can't quite remember if that was a Catholic or a Protestant situation. I did a video on it. I studied the story extensively. I just can't remember. I believe it was they were Protestants, but I could be possibly wrong about that. But it's even with that possibility that I'm wrong about that particular point, the argument is still, no, this is just part of Christian history. You kind of have to deal with that as the truth. And the overall point is that, Christians don't do this anymore. You have progressed, right? So Smokey's point is pretty much Christians never did it. At least not real Christians.
British Isles. So it doesn't make that. You're not making the point you think you're making.
No, literally. Look up the story of Galis Duncan. Look up the story of the Ireland witch trials. Look up there was a group of witches in Ireland that supposedly crafted a spell that was going to make King James shipwreck because. I mean, this is all history. I know Smokey likes to put it all on Catholics, that the Catholics were the only ones doing it, but that's just not the truth. Catholics did a lot of it, without a doubt, but Protestants were doing it too.
Yeah, this is true.
So, Marty,
Paul Cameron,
the question is,
Kenthoven CPA, Cryptomeria, Child of the Most High, Free Spirit. If you guys were checking out earlier, this is the continuation. It's about to get cray-cray. Slurs are coming. Crazy's coming. And then Danny's going to come in and calm everything down. And have a conversation with Smokey and try to make some sense of it all. which I think is going to be vitally important after the insanity that we're going to be going through for about the next 50 minutes or so. Yep, let's buckle up.
His rage for you, though, is does the Bible
if
teach
that's
that?
true, hold on. Even if that's true, then it was only the Puritanistic cults, and there's no prescription in Christianity for them to have justified their actions.
It was the Puritans here in America. The Salem witch trials were the Puritans, without a doubt. But that's not the case throughout history, Smokey. You're just wrong.
It's like there's no prescription, in Christianity. Well, there definitely is in Catholicism. Like I said, they wrote an entire book on it. But like, isn't there that passage, "Suffer not a witch to live," or whatever it is? I can't remember the specific passage. It talks about sorcery several times. It gives credence to magic like it's real. All of that stuff. Like Smokey really, and this is probably what is really. And I know for a fact because I watched a good chunk of it right up until Danny and Smokey start really going. I watched all the insanity. This is what pissed Smokey off again. I didn't think it was gonna last long, but me really talking about church history really doesn't fit his narrative, or he doesn't like that, and especially because he's like really wrong about it, and he knows he's wrong about it, and yeah. So let's continue
About that.
Then can you prove to us, Rage, just as Smokey was about to say, is there anything in the New Testament?
And notice as he's being wrong, like how the rest of the Christians just automatically suppose he's right.
The New Covenant that instructs Christians to do what you're accusing us of. Yes or no?
In the New Testament, no.
Okay, thank you.
No.
And I don't know how forceful I should have been on that one because I'm not sure about the New Testament, honestly. Old Testament, without a doubt. New Testament, I'm not so sure. There could be like passages I could find, possibly. I'm not positive.
It was a craze at the time, and I just gave Christianity credit for getting beyond that, right?
Okay.
Like I literally gave them credit for progressing beyond that.
Okay, when
Right?
you say progressing
Yeah,
again,
you
I have
did.
to question what
Sure.
you mean by that, coming from the liberal standpoint. So.
Well, I mean, I literally said they're not burning witches no more. We're I mean, so far we're not killing gay people, right?
Well, and like just because I mean, it's kind of a really dumb argument what they're trying to put forward here is just because the Bible specifically might not, there's that whole book on the Catholic side, but just because the Bible doesn't specifically, and I think, suffer not a witch to live is kind of specific, but, just because it doesn't specifically, I guess, tell you how to torture a witch or how to kill a witch, there's no prescriptions for that in the Bible. It's really a dumb argument. It doesn't make much sense because throughout we this is a part of history. It actually happened. People did it. It's not like something people made up. So even if your book from 2,000 years ago doesn't tell you specifically how to do it, the thing was done. Duh.
Okay, but
It's
wait a
still the
minute.
Muslims.
But there are even Calvinists though who actually believe in theonomy today, and I rebuke them. So you're not going to stop people from having fringe groups from rising up, but because of a faulty interpretation of scripture, it's going to happen.
No, I agree. Like I covered those fringe
Okay.
groups all the
The
time.
question you should be asking is what the Bible teaches.
The Catholic Church is a fringe group. The acts committed under the authority of Protestant kings was a fringe group.
Let me clarify this because we have a Catholic in the room. Bro, was it very viable to be accused of being a witch if you denied any one of the 7 sacraments that the church affirmed in the later centuries? Well, could you be classified as a witch if you disavowed any of the 7 sacraments that the church affirmed?
It kind of depends where this is happening. If it's in the north, your odds are more likely. But in the south, like say, kind of in Spain, Italy, kind of around the Balkans, Greece, none of the
So it was a
cultural
cultural classification for someone who was heretical of the faith because they considered that the same as serving Satan, right?
Correct.
Okay. So Rage, the issue is when you're talking about, the Christians burned witches. No, they burned Christians claiming they were witches because that's how they culturally they could have been a true, honest Bible believer that just didn't accept, the full extrapolations of the
Dude,
Council of Trent and would have been considered quote
dude,
unquote a witch. Like this isn't.
Galis Duncan was a housemaid for a rich man. Galis Duncan loved somebody, and she was sneaking out of this rich man's house to go meet her lover. And that rich man said she was that rich man was a Protestant. And that rich man said she was a witch. And guess what they did?
Here, let me do that. I'm fairly certain that he's a Protestant. I could be wrong about that because it's possible they were Catholics, but I'm fairly certain the constable that she was the maid for was a Protestant. I'd have to go back and look at my video to be sure of that. So if I'm wrong, I'll admit that I'm wrong about that. But it still, like I said, doesn't take away from the fact that Protestants were doing it too.
They fucking stripped her naked. They found a birthmark on her buttocks, claimed that was the mark of the devil, and they killed her.
That makes my point. That you
she
made my point.
she didn't. She wasn't a Christian claiming to be a witch. She was a woman that some man lusted after and used his Christianity to kill her.
She probably was a Christian. She probably did believe in Christian. She wasn't actually.
She was
a witch.
definitely a Christian. And I understand that that's the point that she's making, or that Smokey's making, or he's saying that it's all Christian women, which it wasn't all Christian women. I mean, I would say probably the vast majority of them were probably Christian women. Like, Smokey's not wrong in the point, but at the same time, he's saying Puritan cults and things. That's what he's wrong about, and he's just not acknowledging that. No, it wasn't Puritan cults. It was under the authority of different various institutions of power, whether they be monarch, the Catholic institution, the Vatican. It's not Puritan cults.
About some sort
That's what I'm saying.
Political.
You said it was Christians claiming to be a witch. No, they weren't claiming to be a witch.
Yeah, and I probably misunderstood him because he's saying that they were accusing them of being witches. So I was misunderstanding him at that point. So I'm talking past him right there.
They were being accused of being a witch.
No, that's what I'm saying. These were not actual witches that were being killed. This was people who were attempting to use Christianity as a weapon. That doesn't mean that
it was strong, independent women being killed that weren't being.
No,
see how he's focusing. Look at him. Look at him.
That's what it was. If you look at the Spanish Inquisition, it was people that weren't bowing to the fucking Catholic line, and I will grant you, Catholic Inquisition.
I mean, yeah, and I did word it specifically there to elicit a reaction from the righties. I won't deny that, y'all. I won't deny that at all. Here, let's turn this on. I won't deny that at all. I do that sometimes. But essentially, it's true. And again, not all Christian women. Like I said, there were several people that were pagans. There were several people that did actually identify as witches that were definitely targeted. Like I said, had different names for the healers in the towns, but one would be like culting women. The Pendleton witch trials, the entire family, pretty much considered themselves witches, even though all they really did was they knew all the herbs and the plants of the area, and they knew what worked medically, and they would be able to heal the sick. So, in the case of the Pendleton witch trial, they literally got the youngest daughter to pretty much turn on the entire family. And what had happened initially was one of the daughters. Was walking down the road, and the peddler came along, and she asked for something. She was like hungry or something. She asked for something. The peddler said no. And as the peddler was walking away, this young woman cursed the peddler. I don't know what she said, but it was like a curse. It was very common at the time. And the peddler had a stroke as he was walking, and right after she did it. So she thought she really cursed him when, he just had a stroke. But that brought the authorities. And they got a hold of the youngest daughter who pointed the finger, and they're all witches and evil, and it was a travesty of a trial. The one daughter that initially cast the curse and the guy had a stroke went to her grave thinking she actually cursed that man and did him harm. She confessed to everything. She was ready to die because she thought she had really did harm to that man when he just had a stroke. These things happened throughout history, and they weren't Puritan cults. Unless you're going to say all of Christianity was a cult, you cannot make that claim.
Position. But when you look at what happened in Ireland, that was a Protestant thing.
Rage, you're really reaching out of your depth on this one, bro.
Yes, he is.
No, I have studied this more than you, I guarantee. I have studied this more than you, I guarantee it.
Oh, really?
The Spanish Inquisition was Catholic, wasn't it?
Absolutely guarantee the opposite of that statement. Everything you just said is literal horseshit.
So who is Galus Duncan?
You really are communicating.
Who is Galus Duncan?
Okay, you're taking one anecdotal story of someone doing something evil.
Let's talk about we can talk about the Pendleton witch trials. Do you want to talk about that one?
What, were like 5 people total were killed? Like, what do you?
No, it was like 20. It was like 20 people.
Okay, well, dude, again, you're taking these things where the church was persecuting Christians.
I'm talking that it wasn't just Catholics and it wasn't just Puritans. It was Christians. That's what I'm talking.
Wasn't Rage's whole point that Christians are not doing this anymore? Like,
Gur, please, just.
all right. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, Rage. The whole point was, again, that you're making this claim and you're saying, well, a Protestant at one point in time did this.
I'm not even gonna say it, but I am. Gert, don't ever bow down to this dude.
So what?
I'm saying over a course of hundreds of years, Christians did this. That's what I'm saying, and I'm saying you progress. You're not doing it anymore.
Hold on. You can't say that.
Gosh, you can't stay on topic.
I can't say.
Unless you point to something.
I can't say that Christians once burned witches and they don't do it anymore. Oh my God, I can't say anything, y'all. Like, these Christians are just telling me everything that I can and cannot say. I'm just not doing it right. I'm not doing the atheism right according to the Christians. Imagine that.
Something in the book that says here is the moral prescription to do what these people did. You can't claim they were acting as Christians. They were just pagan atheists claiming to be Christian.
Well, there is definitely a scripture that speaks against witches, Smokey, and you know this.
Yeah, there's a verse in the Old Testament that says, "I suffer not a witch to live." And that's under the theocracy of the Old Covenant. That was a civil procedural law.
And yet these burnings didn't happen under that old covenant, did it?
So that's not something we identify under the law of faith.
Now you don't, and that's my point. You have
like Smokey's position that true Christian. That's exactly what Matt Powell would say. Smokey really tries to differentiate himself from Matt Powell, but outside the YEC thing, I don't really see much difference there, honestly. But it's exactly, you cannot take away from the fact that throughout history, throughout a very certain segment of history, the Christian institutions were murdering people, calling them witches. It's just happened.
Progressed beyond that, but at a period of time, Christians did.
No, they did.
Yes, they did. History says it.
Ray, you're not listening to me. You're not listening to me. If they weren't,
you're not listening to me.
If they weren't following the prescriptions of the faith, it doesn't matter what they claim to be. So you saying Christians did?
So I initially said they progressed. They no longer do this. So now Smokey's argument is because we've progressed and we no longer do this and we no longer say, hey, there's no prescription for this or whatever, even though I think there clearly is. You cherry pick that Old Testament, that old covenant, as you call it. Throughout the history of the church, you've done that. You still do it today. I'm about to point out, though, how he's saying that this is not a possibility, and yet he actually wants something very similar to this, like this, to happen.
Did this is incoherent to us. They weren't
Yes.
following a prescriptive path of Scripture. So if
Yes.
they weren't doing that, then they're not,
So,
by
Puff-
definition, they're not Christians. Unless
Right.
you can point to something inside the Bible that says Christians should do this. Here is a Christian prescription that validates what
So
was.
once again, because the Bible doesn't say that, even though I think it does say it, and he admitted that, the old covenant or whatever, but just because the Bible doesn't say to go and torture women, to deny them their rights, to deny them their bodily autonomy, Christians have done that, and they're still doing it today, honestly. Trying to, anyway.
All right, Smokey.
A
All right,
prescriptive
Smokey.
command.
So Christians don't do this anymore, right? And your
Christians
position is
never
that,
did.
all right,
By
so
definition.
never did.
Never-
Just for your sake, that's not my position moving forward here. I just kind of threw that in there. This is about to get cray-cray. You guys knew it was coming. Where are we at? 5:17. So yeah, we're about 4 minutes from the meltdown. 4 minutes from when the slurs start getting tossed around. So once again, warning, that is coming. 4 minutes.
Never did.
did.
All right, Smokey.
By
So
definition.
I recently asked you in a live stream, what should happen to gay people? What was your answer?
That it shouldn't be allowed as a social practice.
No,
and there
what
should be
was your true
punishment for-
answer? Because
What are you
you gave
talking
me your
about?
true answer. It's on your stream.
I'm giving
You
it to you
said
again
you
right
said
now.
it should be illegal and they
Yeah,
should
it
be
should
in
be
prison.
illegal. Yeah, yeah,
So
they should be
Christians
punished.
never
It should
do
be
this kind
illegal.
of thing,
But
right?
I said that about every form of debauchery, including
No,
adultery.
My question
and
was,
sex
what should
outside of
happen?
marriage. I
question
said
to
I
you
thought it
was,
all
what should
should
happen
be
to
illegal.
gay people? Your response was they should be imprisoned.
But all
But
of them,
Christians
anyone-
never do this thing.
Ray, you're straw manning me. My point was that anyone that engages in sexual immorality, I
Which is, honestly, even worse. Sexual immorality, according to the Bible or Smokey Saint, it would probably have to be his interpretation. So, actually, more people within the scope of that, but within the scope of that, definitely all gay people. So, even with him, trying to clarify, I can't. During the stream, it was taking everything, the stream that we're referencing and will be referencing for the next several minutes. My main focus was to not lose my cool. I went into a stream where they were just tossing around slurs and just being derogatory as fuck. So, that's the context of how this, so what do you want to do about these gays you guys hate so much? And he quite clearly said, lock them up, which would be, a great injustice and atrocity. Sure, it's not burning people to death, but it is condemning them to a life of imprisonment. So, while true Christians would never do this very true Christian, Smokey Saint, in this room is quite willing to do something very, very, very similar in the name of his God.
would be fine with it being illegal. You make it sound like I'm just going at the gays and I'm fine with Tinder. That's
Kill
not
the
what I
gays.
said. I said any form of debaucherous sexual action.
No, I didn't see that,
I'm fine
Randy.
with being illegal. That's what I said. And you're not doing any favors pointing back to non-Christians who aren't following Christian principles and prescriptions and saying, look what the Christians did. That's just stupid. That's why we all laugh at you when you try and bring up this point. It's just dumb to us.
I'm very curious. Okay, so Smokey, you're not singling out gay people, just anyone who does what now?
I said I'm fine.
Good
with
point.
any
Good point.
form.
So
I
Christians
said-
never.
Wait, Rach. I'm sorry, Rach, but
Wait
Smokey
a
was.
minute. Christians would never
Okay,
do this thing. Christians would never do this thing. But what Smokey considers sexual debauchery, oh, cool.
No, it's what the Bible considers sexual debauchery, which is anything
Oh,
outside.
so the Bible
the
doesn't
bounds-
consider witchery
anything-
debauchery?
Well,
What?
it's
Wait,
just
what?
okay. I get that I'm
Wait,
in
what did you
agreement
say?
that the Old Testament laws were not for Christians because that was pre the death and resurrection of Christ.
Those were. It's just that they were civil constructs. Those aren't objective morals. Those are things that flowed from the objective morals as civil constructs for the day at the time. And
Right.
you would have to look at what the civil constructs would filter into in our modern culture from the same core objective morality.
Yep.
See, that's
We would
the
never
issue.
persecute
I
people
don't.
so long as they have sex the way we want them to.
There's no
Yeah.
there's no justification in my mind to have the general allowance of sexual debauchery because it destroys families. If people had a sense of integrity of the maintenance of the nuclear household, things would probably be a heck of a lot better. It is this realm of pure libertarian freedom of movement of sexual autonomy that has helped create a rather disastrous culture. So I, of course, I am fine with any form of sexual debauchery or anything
Well,
outside of the bounds of
but
marriage
don't
being
you see
considered
those,
illegal.
Smokey? Don't you see those, Smokey? That's how they saw the
Let me
witches,
finish.
though.
Shut
The
up.
witches were they were committing sexual
Wait.
debauchery.
Shut the fuck up and
It's
let
the
me
same.
finish.
You are espousing the exact same mentality that caused
You
the
are
death of hundreds of
rage-
thousands of people.
Oh, Smokey is not liking me right now, y'all. You know, I don't apologize, and what I said is exactly accurate. And you know, Smokey's a douchebag. We all know this, and he is so angry right now because you know he thought he was helping me out with all of that. You know, like denying Christian history and. You know, he was trying to walk me through so I could follow along his line of narrative, which everybody else does it, and he just keeps expecting me to do it because he's so used to it at this point. But yet I just can't seem to do that because I have no respect for this man. None. At all.
Shut the fuck up and let me finish, you stupid shit.
I'll shut up, but I won't shut the fuck up. I'll shut up, but I won't shut the fuck up.
You have just poisoned the well. You have just poisoned the well with your unparalleled stupid.
No,
and
you
I'm
don't
trying
like
to
that
go
I threw
easy on
your
you
own
tonight.
shit back against
Hey,
you.
fag! I'm trying to be easy on you tonight, and all you've done is open your mouth.
All right, first slur dropped. He just dropped the first one. There's going to be a few coming on. He's going to put one in the side chat that I'll read at some point. They're coming now. We're here. We're into the insanity. It's going to get farther and farther along into that insanity. And, Smokey's thoroughly triggered at this point because, of course, he doesn't like his Christian history. And he was trying to help me out. He was trying to show me just how stupid I am. And that I needed to fall in line. And if I just fell in line with what he was saying, well, then all would have been peachy.
Mouth and make a dumbass out of yourself.
Probably.
Even
Gurr would probably agree with that one.
Well, it's not hard.
The one with one of the other atheists in the room that actually still has a functional fucking brain. Shut the hell up. Okay.
Okay.
So
right.
The point is.
Well, you asked me nicely though.
So the point is, Gert, that I see that there is an idea that things that are damaging to society and culture are generally things that we tend to want to be illegal or not commonly practiced. Now, if I'm able to see, even through utilitarian ethics, which I can make a case for, even if I was viewing through utilitarian ethics, which is a secular philosophy, that there's an ultimate higher net benefit of well-being by maintaining the structure of a certain idea of sexual practices being limited and mitigated, that there's an overall net benefit to culture, it would behoove me to say that I think there are benefits in having legal constraints to protect those things that give to an ultimate net benefit to everyone. And that's not even a controversial position to take.
Now, remember, so at some point, somebody's going to make a snide-ass remark that, leftists like to take freedoms away from people. Leftist. These freedom-loving Americans, Smokey, Trumper, that Smokey is, this freedom-loving American here, totally cool for, just locking up people that don't have sex like they should say you have sex in the Bible, which I guess is only missionary between a man and a woman, with the man being the dominant, superior, and the umbrella. I guess, Smokey's an incel, so it probably, he in his world, he'd get to, pick from the litter, I guess. I don't know. So, yeah, I mean, these freedom-loving Americans who like to say the left likes to take people's freedoms are all for taking people's freedom.
If I'm able to show that sexual autonomy and debauchery tends to lead to a net negative in terms of society and to everyone's benefit, I can make an argument that there's a benefit having a law to restrict it. And that's the only point I take. So just to clarify for you.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I see you're not just singling out just people just because they're gay.
No, well, that would be stupid and hypocritical, wouldn't it?
Well, my
Right.
question.
Well, no, yeah, he is Ger. He is. We'll turn that back on. No, he is singling out people because they're gay, because that would be one of the debaucheries he would lock up. And like Matt Powell, he would lock up adultery, women that cheat on their wives, or women that cheat on their husbands. Get that right? I'm going to misspeak something here before too long as well that I'm going to have to be looking for. Didn't explain it too well at the time. Definitely need to probably explain something here in a little bit. Chaps, I talk too goddamn fast. Yeah, I forgot my goddamn point. I've been smoking weed all day. Sitting here streaming all day. Smoke too much weed when I stream.
Was though my question.
Oh, shit, I'll be right back.
I'm totally gonna have to pull this clip up now, Smokey, because my question to you quite literally was, well, what do we do? You guys hate gays so much. What do we do about these gays? What should we do biblically?
Yeah, my specific question was just specifically of gay people, but Smokey wants, to incorporate a much larger number of people into the people that he would subjugate, right? So as he was saying that true Christians would never do such things, he's totally for such things. Maybe not specifically burning people to death, but definitely locking them up and incarcerating them, taking away their freedoms.
And it took a while. But I kept calling out you guys
about the gays.
You guys have never answered me, and then Smokey, you answered me, and your answer was
always about the gays.
Your answer. Wait. It was about the gays, Smokey, because I came into your stream and you were F-slur this, F-slur that. In fact, you did.
Why is it always about the gays? Yeah, because literally you always are derogatory towards gay people. And it's gotten a lot worse lately. Honestly, before, we had our, it was that escalation and that F slur became this big deal for a moment. But then it was almost like you hardly ever used it. But now recently it's almost every other word you're dropping it. This Christian is the F slur, that Christian is the F slur. I mean, it's almost to the point where I'm thinking Freudian shit. You got some serious mental things going on up there, my dude. Because it seems to always be on your mind.
Your P. Mars impression that night, remember?
Yeah, you're a stupid faggot too. There you go.
I mean, there it is again. Maybe sometimes, I don't know.
To talk
He's really mad at this point, yo.
About playing with your asshole, you dumb weirdo. Yeah, exactly. You're a stupid.
You've never played with your asshole before?
Guess what? Straight men don't do that. That's something.
Are you afraid of touching your butthole?
Screams and brags about. There you go.
Do you not enjoy wiping your ass?
Do you hear this shit?
It's one of the dumbest analogies I've ever heard, man.
Yeah.
What does this have to do with me enjoying wiping my asshole? Really?
I love myself.
I told you he don't know nothing about the gospel.
Listen.
So we're talking about the gospel now?
He don't know nothing about the gospel.
I thought we were talking about assholes.
No, I'm using this as an example.
Told y'all we're in the cray cray now. We're in the cray cray now. Didn't take long. The slurs are popping off. It's gonna go. It's gonna continue. I'm gonna put my foot in my mouth at some point. I do believe. We'll see. If I actually do. I think I do. So I'll explain that point a little better. And then as we get through all of this insanity, that's you think this is insane now. Just wait. As we get through it, Danny will come in and provide some clearance, some sanity, kind of talk down Smokey a little bit. Now, before we get there, I'm going to be censored a couple times. Smokey's going to demand that I be censored. before we get there. We're about to go through some insanity. Whatever good feelings have been between me and Smokey, my friends. Now, like I've been trying to be chill, but like I've never respected the dude. I think what I think about him. He's done what he's done. I've done what I've done. I have no respect for him. It's about to get there. He's really mad now, but he's gonna get really mad. And honestly, I don't enjoy what I'm about to do. I said that in the first stream. It's one of the things I regret. I said my piece. I did my 2 streams on the whole, allegations. But like literally, if you're gonna start making a case, how secularists can't argue against. Well, first of all, he's gonna pull a Matt Powell and start really associating homosexuality to some things, pissing in a public and pedophilia. Yeah. And then he's going to insinuate that I'm a pedo lover. When you have those accusations out there, like I don't have any accusations like that. Not really probably the smartest move, Smokey, when you have actual real shit that's, popped up around yourself, not to make that line of argumentation. Just saying. But this gets crazy. Let's get back to it.
Example of how ignorant you are of any topic that you talk
Now,
about.
here's one of the major fallacies you committed. You committed a fallacy of composition where you infer Puritans as all Christians. You committed
Canadian
also
Catholic.
a false
Canadian Catholic.
equivocations. I'm not Canadian Catholic. Well, I never heard of that scumbag. But anyway, that's one of the things you keep roaring out, man. Like, and then after that, you're reading into your preconceived notions that all Christians are evil. That's poisoning the well.
I just pointed out, like, Smokey went on the diatribe about how Christians would never, ever, do any of these horrible things that I pointed out in history that they did. And then I just pointed out, well, Smokey, you just literally told me like 4 days ago that you would literally lock up all gay people.
Well, he didn't say that. What he did was give.
No,
He did say that. He didn't say that, not on this stream, and that's what Veckel's going to say because Veckel can't follow along. If Veckel's not talking, he's not listening, and if Veckel's talking, he's not listening. But he literally did say that. And then he just made it broader. Well, like, not just gay people, but everybody I don't like or my Bible doesn't like. Which is worse, right?
Say that. Go back and watch that shit. It's on his stream. He did say it. I asked him very specifically. Smokey knows
He didn't
it.
say that tonight.
He said it's fine.
He
said he'd be
lied
fine
tonight.
with it.
He lied
said he'd be
tonight.
fine with it.
He said he'd be fine with it. I heard that. He said he'd be fine with
I
it.
think when Smokey was saying
Oh, no,
that,
you
he's
heard
not
that
talking-
in the stream that I had with him, like, I don't know.
They're literally saying Smokey didn't just say what he just said. That's what they're saying right now. Rage, you're wrong. Smokey didn't just say what he just said.
I heard it here. I heard it here.
I heard it here.
You heard that here. You didn't
Right.
watch the stream where I specifically
Well,
asked him.
give us the timestamp.
You guys hate the
us the
gays so
timestamp,
much. Say, what
No,
should
we
do
don't
about
hate the gay. No, we don't hate the gays.
No, you don't.
Right there.
Yeah, they do.
Give us the
The,
timestamp.
the conversation me and Smokey was having a few nights ago, they were dropping the F slurs. I came in, I was very chill.
Let Knox speak. Let
That's
Knox
the only
speak.
part
was
of the
very
discussion
chill,
you remember. You don't remember.
And I
anything
asked
else.
him, all right, so
Let
what
Knox
should we
speak.
do?
Let Knox speak.
What should we do about the gays?
All
And
right,
Smokey
Knox.
said we should lock them all up.
Okay, Knox, listen. Why don't you show me that timestamp and let me see for myself, all right? Why don't you?
Like, he literally just said it here, and now you want the timestamp from the original one, which I'd have to do in the middle of a stream. Smokey be streaming 3, 5, 6 hours sometimes. Who knows? Not sure even when, what day, what stream that was. Maybe it was 4 days ago. Maybe it was 5 days ago. Maybe it was 3 days ago. Who knows? I've been popping in sporadically. Sometimes when I get out of work, Smokey's usually streaming, and they've been rather chill conversations because I make myself be chill. This particular one, go in, Smokey Saints popping off F slurs, not just Smokey, but Will and everybody else in the fucking room. Dave's going to come in here in a little bit. He's one of the worst. He's right down there already, actually, news unit. He'll be piping in. He's one of the worst. And, so I just asked the question. Well, you guys seem to really, really hate gay people. What would you want done if you had authority? What would you want done? Which is to incarcerate them. send them to prison with the murderers and rapists and actual real criminals that we put in prison. That's what they would do. And Smokey's position is, not just gay people, but yet definitely gay people too. But, wives that cheat on their husbands, adulterers, a whole slew of things. Anything that the Bible would say, or that Smokey Saint says the Bible would say. It's literally, he just said that on this stream.
You just pull up that clip.
Smokey, did it happen?
Do what happened? I stepped away for a second. What happened?
Did I come?
No, we're not, James. This really, for most of it, it wasn't me and Smokey. For most of it, it was me and Veckel. That was the first part. This part is the crazy part. It's like 50 minutes. It's Smokey just getting triggered because, the whole period of chill is over for sure. But, I think I'm not really covering it for this part. I'm covering this part for the part that's coming. When Danny comes into the room, it's not me versus Smokey. It's Danny, or Danny's already in the room. But when he takes over the room, it's Danny versus Smokey, which is kind of going to be this really chill little conversation after the insanity that ensues. Because after about 2 hours at this point while Smokey was piping in, it was still kind of chill. Now it's just, he's had enough, can't help it. And yeah, so I'm watching it.
Come on your stream and ask you, what should we do about the gays?
What's the timestamp? What's the timestamp? I want to see that.
I'd have to go and watch the whole fucking stream again.
I'll affirm.
But you're making a claim.
Hold on. I'll affirm that he did ask me, and I said exactly what I just reiterated to Gurr. That I can see a net tangible benefit at outlawing any form of sexual debauchery. That includes sex before marriage, sex outside of marriage, adultery, fornication with same sexes. I'm fine with all of it being illegal because I believe that it would
and still, even by that argument.
Right, so he said it again. Do you think that they'll deny he said it again? They don't. But
even by that argument, how does that go against the argument that I have made? That, well, Smokey, you say Christians would never do this fucking thing. And he's literally saying, let's lock up every single person that commits sexual debauchery upon his interpretation.
Well, no one would ever be locked up if they don't do that, right?
Lock them up.
Like, this Boki Ken guy, not the brightest apple in the bunch. No, if they don't do that, they wouldn't be locked up, I guess. But the point is, they would be locked up if they do that. That's the point.
But what if they do, though?
I'd say lock them up. Lock them up and throw away the key.
There's Dave.
So you guys are freedom-loving Republicans, right?
No, we're not. I'm not a.
Oh my gosh.
I'm an American.
I'm a Filipino. I live in a democracy.
So I mean,
freaking anarchist walk. Like, no one wants that. The reason we have laws is to control the constraints of society.
So you're for freedoms that are yours and not theirs.
No.
Freedoms that aren't damaging.
Duterte is a democracy. Come on now.
Okay, can everyone shut the fuck up for a second?
Okay.
I'm all for freedoms, but like there's.
Do you guys see how everybody just bends before Smokey? And I'm the only one that don't? And do you think that has anything at all to do with why he's so triggered right now? He says, shut the fuck up. They say, okay. They just literally said, okay. He tells me to shut the fuck up. I said, well, yeah, I got smart. I'll shut up, but I won't shut the fuck up. You can ask me nicely. But they just are bitches.
Something to say. You
can't
should
put
have
it any other way.
live free, and you should have the ability to go and piss in the cheese counter because you have unlimited freedom. That's you have to understand. There's a limit to understanding allowing someone freedom and allowing them freedom to do dangerous, self-destructive practices or things that bring down society at large. That's why we have laws. That's the
true.
whole freaking point.
That's true. That's true. I mean, Romans 13:1-3 would attest to that.
So you're equating
Here it
gay
comes.
people being in love with each other and being together to pissing in a
Yes,
cheesecake?
going and taking a giant piss in public. Yeah, I am gonna go ahead and make that equivalency. Sure, since you're so fucking.
So you're
and
like Matt
follow
Powell.
anything else I say.
No.
I mean, that's what he said, and now he's mad at me for reiterating what he said, right? Like, he's so mad at me right now. And why are you mad at me? I'm not the one being an idiot. I'm not the one being a bigoted fuck. I'm not the one exuberating your brand of Christianity. And every other Christian in this room is just bowing to you. Not me. I don't do that.
Fine, take it with you if you want. God, Rage, you are so fucking stupid. It's
Well,
unbelievable.
you made the analogy. I didn't, Smokey.
Rage. Here, let me give you something that's analogous. Like, if we jump back, like, let's say 40 years ago, where they illegalized marijuana. Now, everybody, a majority of the people followed that, but it didn't mean people are not doing it underground. The same way that's Smokey's point. We should. I mean, the case being that same-sex marriage should be, or same-sex activity should be illegal, is because it's not that we hate them. We believe, and by the statistics, even the precepts that I've read, that it could lead to self-destructive lifestyles. We're not trying to police you. We're trying to tell you that why this shouldn't be. And of course, we don't just law that one. We have to make a case.
We're not trying to police you, although, like again, so I was wrong. He's quite literally denying what Smokey just said. Everything that Smokey just said. Just saying, like, no, we're not trying to police you. We're not trying to outlaw. We're trying to educate. No. Smokey just said police. Smokey just said lock up. Smokey just said, yes, I'm fine with outlawing it for there to be legal recourse. That's exactly what Smokey just said, you fucking stupid man. But I'm dense. I'm the stupid one. Oh, my God.
So heterosexual activity.
We also want you to have. We want you to procreate.
Can I ask a question?
No, we don't.
Let him.
Said something. So heterosexual activity can't lead to like these unproductive lifestyles.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is.
So I mean, what are you saying? Why are you like singling out?
I'm not saying
specific type of sexual activity.
I'm not.
No,
I
would agree. Like if you were singling out, like pedophilia, I would probably be in full agreement with you.
Yes, because
but, like,
that's unhealthy.
Two adults consenting to sex they want to have. Not my business.
Gosh, you were so ignorant, dude.
Like, okay, you know what? Not. It doesn't matter if it's not my business or it is. What I'm saying is the case is it's unhealthy.
Well, even under your God belief, though, right? Like so, judge not lest you be judged. Doesn't God? Isn't God the one that's supposed to be doing the judging?
John 7:24. John 7:24. Judge righteously.
Yeah. So humans can completely be dickheads to each other. I get you.
I'm not trying to be a dickhead, Knock. You're just thinking I'm a dickhead.
No, I'm just saying you're speaking from a heterosexual position. That you're speaking from the this is normal position, and I'm just saying. What I am saying is, human beings are human beings, and
right.
If they're good people, and they're doing good things throughout their life, they're good role models, they're good friends, they're good spouses to whoever their spouse is to. That's what we should judge them upon, not this sexual activity that we disagree with.
Yeah. Okay, Knock. Knock. I get it, but that's a rare occurrence because that's a borderline.
That's the normal occurrence.
We are literally talking about Smokey's position that it not be a rare occurrence, but it be the occurrence. What happens? The law of the land. In a conversation leading from the fact that Smokey made the statement that no true Christian could ever do what they did throughout history, subjugate people, torture people, do terrible, terrible things throughout history, and yet here he's advocating for it, and this dumbass just doesn't understand what's going on, I guess. They say, they say that I'm the fucking stupid one. I don't get it.
Most people are just normal. You can have your freaks as heterosexual, as gay, as trans. Freaks are freaks. People are going to do crazy shit.
When
And it
was
happens
the-
all
when was
across
the
the
freak
spectrum.
normal?
It happens
When-
all across the spectrum. It happens to everything. So for you to single out and
Nobody's
say this
denying
is
it
wrong
happens.
because my God says it is, when a lot of those people that
No.
you fucking condemn actually believe in your God.
I don't even go to the. I don't even need to go to scripture to show you just how dirty that thing is. I have statistics and precepts to show you that it doesn't.
All right, so I mean, here we go again. Warning, you know, extreme bigotry is coming out. You know, these things do tend to happen around me. Not gonna lie. But again, you know, they're just so obvious with it, so blatant with it, and this literally just stemmed. It literally stemmed from just Smokey Saint making the. My nose is itching. These very absurd comments that just are stupid. They're really, quite simply, just really dumb shit. But like I said, and I said it earlier in the stream, every time Smokey Saint speaks, like really listen, like really start listening to the things that Smokey says. Because most of it's nonsense and it makes no sense. He strings together really big words and tries to string together arguments that maybe he's heard before. But none of it makes really any sense. Most of it's nonsense. And he's just got such a strong personality that the rest of the Christians are just so used to cowtailing to him that they just naturally agree with all of the nonsense that he espouses. And that's going to become, like, I think apparently evident, especially once Danny becomes a major player in this operation here.
Doesn't lead just to STDs and an inflammatory asshole, which will it lead you to have a colostomy bag? It leads to suicides and a ton of breakups. I'm not kidding. And most of
preaching
the
that truth now.
and those 5%, those minorities who've never cheated at each other, I mean the homosexuals, that's a rare occurrence. And those are just that's what we would call anecdotes.
So heterosexuals don't cheat on each other?
I'm not saying that they don't cheat on each other, but they're more successful than homosexual couples.
How? Why?
And it's
Why
more
do you say
healthier.
that? Why would you say that?
Praise, can you check private chat, please?
Because from the statistical evidence I've gathered, there are more homosexual couples that tend to cheat and break up with each other and lead to suicide.
According to Smokey Saint.
Excuse me?
Private chat. Private chat.
Oh, private chat.
I have something to play, you guys.
Yeah, so Smokey's making demands, getting bigoted, calling me the F slur in the private chat. Smokey's really, really, really mad, y'all. This conversation didn't go quite the way he wanted it to. Like, he really thought that we would just have, you know, this friend fest, and we were going to be friends now, and that I would just, like, you know, he would correct me, and I would just, like, fall in line with him and shit, and that didn't happen. Over an escalation of time, it built up, and the anger built up, and now we're there. You guys been hearing it. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Are you guys ready?
Oh yeah. By the way,
And yes, Marty. What? You know, this Ben Loki guy who is now, you know, just another one of the Christians to pile on the dog pile that's been going on for about 2.5 hours at this point. Is really, really dumb. Really, really bigoted. And really, really dumb. Like, just, oh my God, stupid. It's hard to even process the stupidity coming from that one.
My point was simply, you know, Smokey was saying, we would never do this. And then he was like, yeah, but we will.
No.
Let's just leave it at that. By the way, Knock. Let's just leave it at that. Okay.
Holy crap! You are stupid, Rage.
Like Knock. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Knock.
Pretty goddamn stupid.
I mean, I hope.
Alrighty now. So notice the video that Smokey has commanded Praise to play. We're having a conversation. Because of Bokeh here. Just a really disingenuous conversation about consensual sex amongst adults. Smokey's already pulled a couple Matt Powells, and now we have the ultimate Matt Powell of all. Notice the video that Smokey Saint has commanded praise play, calling out professors who endorse adult child sex. So now, I mean, we are just gonna go there because Smokey wants to go there, I guess. But I'm so fucking stupid. I am so fucking outrageous because, you know, I want people to have freedom. Don't want to lock them up just because, you know, they're not straight like me. Or because they had premarital sex. No. All right. So here we are. We are here now. The ultimate Matt Powell. I mean, you can't say, like, you know, what's Matt Powell? It's this, right? Like this. Hey, Matt Powell, hello.
Everyone to listen to this video, and I would like Rage to respond. Let's hear from the experts. Okay, go ahead.
Another friend or colleague of his about how he has advocated for 20 years in his classes adult child sex. This is shocking. On the other hand, it's not shocking.
What?
In my book, A Queer Thing Happened
Listen.
I have a whole chapter on this. The arguments for, No, you're talking about kidnapping a 2-year-old child and raping them. They're not going that far. But they are advocating for benefits, the positivity of it. And as you'll see, even under coercion. Okay, let's listen to the first clip.
I was studying adult child sex. That's always a big seller.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I had good friends who said, "Are you crazy? Do not write that book."
Man, listen, you're talking to a guy who for 25 years has been making arguments more or less in defense of adult child sex in classrooms. And I don't know if it's the same argument as yours, but I even wrote a piece in the Daily Beast in which I called into question the age of consent laws, which is, you know, and I brought to bear the arguments I was making in class. And I'm going to see how.
This is what Smokey needed us to watch now. I mean, honestly, like, you know, I don't have stored videos that I can just pull up at will of some sick fucks, I guess, talking about how it's okay to have sex with kids. I find that a little creepy, Smokey. A little creepy there. But it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Let's continue.
Whether they jive.
Laughing about it. Right, so it's the other professor who says,
Does that guy look like Richard Carrier to you? It's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That would be Richard Carrier's gay incarnate who just gets off of being a child poop shooter. So yeah.
Exactly.
He's been doing this 25 years. Adult child sex.
Could you pause that for a bit?
Minds?
I just want to ask. I want to ask Naka. I want to ask Naka a kind request. Naka, are you there? Nakasuchi.
Yeah, and once again, I don't sit at my computer for hours upon hours. Like, you know, I will mute my microphone. I will unplug my headphones. I will walk around. I will stretch my legs. I will do a few other things as I'm listening. If I feel like I need to respond, I'll respond. If I'm taking a piss, or, you know, if I'm far away, it might take me a minute to get back. If somebody's calling for me, it happens. But you know, these Christians, I don't see how they do it, because like they seemingly, I just guess, sit behind their computers hour after hour after hour every day. Like none of them, like, do any of them really even work jobs? I don't see how they do it.
Did he seriously step away?
Okay, all right. Let's just continue, because I want him to. I want him to harass the crap out of.
Hey, Gur, this is, you know, that's just the beginning, because eventually it gets to this video becomes a case for why I myself personally am a pedo lover.
Uncle Sam for calling me a little low budget Filipino.
Well, I do step away.
I do appreciate that, Gur. Thank you.
All right, Rage.
I have to point out. I just have to point out. Like Smokey Saint is literally doing, like a Matt Powell thing right here. Like we're having a discussion about how consenting adults having sex.
Here we go.
You know, and now we have a video calling out.
Oh my God!
Endorsing adult child sex.
You're either stupid or you just love.
Rage, hang on. Rage. Let's wane away from that subject for now. I just want to.
Are you literally saying what Matt Powell said, in that all gay people are pedophiles?
Rage. Listen. I just want to make a friendly request for you, okay? There's a. I know I may have said the N word in Will Kincaid's stream, but there's a guy.
All right, let me turn this on real quick. Maybe I was there for that, maybe not. Like at this point, like I said, with these Will Kincaid and Smokey Saint streams, like the slurs are just so commonplace now. It's hard to keep track of everybody that says them. So thank you for informing me that you're a racist piece of shit scumbag. That is good to know. Boki Ken, up to this point, I can honestly say I hadn't gotten racist scumbag. I've gotten very bigoted, homophobic scumbag, really, really stupid idiot type vibe from you. But didn't know you was a racist too. So thank you for informing me.
Called Uncle Sam I am. He's quite the idiot, but I'm pretty sure you'll have fun with him. I want you to be at your worst behavior and harass the crap out of him on YouTube. Corner him. Make him think. Make him question his whole life. Bring him to a point where he will have a midlife crisis, because that guy is flat out racist. He calls me a low budget Filipino, which is.
I didn't quite catch who he was talking about there. I guess this is a compliment that you think that I can do such things. Not really interested in that, I guess. I'm kind of just OCD. I do what I do, whatever pops into the brain at the moment when I decide to do it.
Kind of true, but still, I'm not gonna let that slide. I want to see that. I want to see Rage go on an epic gamer moment on that pathetic little Korean soy boy, and then just put him there.
Are we literally I just want to ask Smokey, are we literally comparing all gay people to pedophiles now?
Well, it's gonna be here.
No, I mean, I'm asking again. I think he might finally answer, and he's gonna say, "Of course not." The argument is something about secularists can't possibly. I'll get into it because Smokey Saint does not like consent. I guess he says I don't understand it, but I'm trying to be kind of broad on purpose, so I don't want to give too much away. So yeah, we got so much more to go, and I get so many notifications on my damn phone. I hit it, but I need to keep them on right now. So, all right, we'll go.
Oh, you're just too stupid to follow the point. So I just
as soon as I saw the title of the video, I'm like, yeah, fuck this.
No, I know you don't pay attention to things that destroy your stupidity.
Well, I usually don't listen to bigots very often, Smokey.
Wait, how do you know they're even bigots to begin with?
Well, no, I literally know that Smokey's a bigot.
So he thinks I'm talking about the pedos, I guess, that were in that stream. But I was actually literally talking about Smokey right there. I don't Smokey wants to make a point, bigot. What I mean, let's hear it. But I guess. I'll try to listen.
He's not a
gosh, have you read the private chat? He literally called me the fag rage. Come on now.
Who cares? Who cares? You're acting like
that's bigoted.
Wait. So if Smokey calls me a faggot sometimes, is he immediately a bigot?
Well, that's a bigoted statement when you agree.
Gosh, you're so sensitive. Dude.
And I'd say probably 90% of the time that Smokey uses the term, he's using it as a slur against gay people. Now, there's probably a 10% time where he's using the quote unquote ghetto version, the word that we all grew up just using it as an insult, but not necessarily saying, oh, you're a gay dude. But I'd say 90% of the time, Smokey's definitely using it in that specific context when he uses the slur. Especially when he's pointing at an individual Christians he doesn't like and calling him the F slur. I think he definitely is implying that they're homosexual men or women, but usually it's towards men nowadays.
Dude, he's not trying to be a bigot.
I'm not being super sensitive. Like Smokey
Rage. When you grew up, Rage, you know what that word means.
Come on, Rage. It's Rage.
So I've had gay people call me a faggot. Does that mean they were bigots?
Oh, good question. Good question.
Dude, I'm from the hood. We used to call each other faggot all the time, but not in a derogatory sense because of their sexual proclivity. but because we just
I do wish I had Adobe running, so I need to make a decision so I can have my editing software running, so I could have censored all of the just the words, not the censor the speech and the conversation, but just get those words out of there, bleep them out. Do wish I got to make a decision on that. There is a couple interesting programs that I'm looking that would be far less cheaper and pretty much does the same thing, and I'm telling myself, like, why do I pay for Adobe when I can get something far cheaper that does what I need it to do?
Like,
I call my guy friends women and ladies.
Derogatory sense, though, right?
Really, they call each other faggots in the hood too.
Like when you like if you call me a bitch or
why you gotta bounce, Gur? Like, Gur, don't you want to stick around and defend an atheist?
Rage,
like, fuck, dude, be an atheist for once.
Rage,
well, Danny's here.
Right, still some feelings. I do appreciate it, Gur. Today you've taken it like a champ. You have, but I was into some feelings last night.
Well, Danny's here. He's an atheist.
Excuse me.
He'll help you. No,
I know Danny's actually gay, so he might have something to say.
Okay, so Danny, I gotta ask you this. Danny, I gotta ask you.
All right, so Danny's gonna enter briefly, but I don't think we're quite to Danny taking it over. I think there's still some insanity left. I could be wrong, but I think there's still some insanity left. Oh yeah, we haven't even gotten to him calling me the pedo lover, and I haven't even really brought up his personal history when it comes to sexual debauchery. We'll put it that way. So this is just a brief introduction of Danny into the conversation. Danny will be coming to pretty much save the day. I'll put it that way, even though Christians use it against me, but pretty much calm the insanity and have a conversation with Smokey that's primarily just him and Smokey.
Have we been bigoted to you?
Not to me.
See?
I thought Danny was married to a woman.
But have they been bigoted, Danny? That's the question.
James Hogue. Oh yeah, Smoke got offended with the whole goat furs statement.
Probably. I mean, I don't. It depends on if they know that.
See, he can't even help you.
No, he just literally said yeah.
Probably.
He was being nice about it. He's Danny.
Probably does not guarantee certainty, man. Probability does not guarantee certainty.
I mean, if you knew that there was some probability that I'd be offended by saying the word, and you said it anyway, I think that you should consider that. But
well, if gay was offensive,
I'm not offended at all right now. Like Smokey knows, I'm really trying hard not to be offended anymore. I
am actually still pretty chill. I've had my moments. I think I'm gonna get offended again though. At some point, but we still got that, like the whole point where I literally tell myself I'm not going to get mad because that point is coming. Yeah. But at this moment, no, I'm not really that offended. At this point, I'm really used to Smokey's bigotry. I'm used to, Christians being bigoted this way. I find it interesting that more Christians don't really, so many Christians speaking out against OSAS right now, but they don't really speak out against, the things that Matt Powell and the NIV say about gay people, because clearly they have a lot of the same beliefs. Maybe not killing them outright, but definitely locking them up, and not just gay people, but pretty much having a theocracy here in America where the Bible rules. The Bible based on the Smokey Sane interpretation. And that's pretty much where we're at in this conversation. And now, you bringing in the whole pedophilia thing. Smokey's going to get into this whole thing about, oh my God, I guess I'll just let you watch it.
I'm sitting here having a lot of fun. If I wasn't, I'd be going to bed. It's 1:38 in the morning for me right now. I should be sleeping.
No, I just got an honest question. Are you some form liberal? I'm just asking, and then that'll be it.
Is he?
I'm a liberal. That's a
Okay.
I'm a socialist. I'm a socialist.
You're a social. Okay. All right. That's it. I just wanted to ask you.
Like it, man.
I just wanted to ask that simple question. Okay, should we go?
I'm a leftist.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I'm a conservative too. All right. So let's just try to be friends here. Okay. No, I said I'm a conservative. Okay, so let's
I
just.
know. I pretty much knew that.
All right.
You assumed that.
So should we?
No, I knew it.
Yeah, because of the way I talk, and then I was like, going out of my should homosexual behavior be controlled or whatever. Anyway, let's just get into this video. I think we're being detracted already.
Yeah. Let's
It's
get
worse.
into this.
Let's
Who
listen.
endorses adult child sex?
Let's
video?
get into
This seems to be like a paradigm case. There's actually some meta studies which seem to suggest that in some cases, at least with regard to,
I mean, like, honestly, who would really want to even get into this? Like, who wants to watch this? It's just I have a 12-year-old child. It makes me sick to my stomach. This is disgusting.
adult males and underage males, that it's not harmful, or if it's harmful, we can't decide whether the harm is due to the sex itself or the fact that society goes berserk over it. And so one of the articles I was reading said, look, this is wrong. We don't need to know whether it's harmful. The empirical question of whether or not there's any long-term harm we can track on this is really beside the point. And I was kind of struck with the question. I thought, well, it's not obvious to me why that is. Right? I mean, the standard kind of other argument is that it's a right infringement, and I wasn't sort of convinced by that argument.
Willfully oblivious
And also when it
baby
comes to
raper. My
pedophilia rather than
goodness.
sort of adult child sex, so sex with like young teens. It's not clear to me. I mean, look, there's at least some reason to believe that that individuals are, designed by evolution to begin reproduction at that period. So if they're designed by evolution to begin reproduction, it's not
What
clear
does
why
this
it would
have to do with
physically either
evolution?
harmful or emotionally harmful.
on.
And so there's
What
kind of
does
like
this
three
have to
different
do with
explanations, none
anything
of
we've
which
been talking about?
This is what happens when you're an atheist. Do not become an atheist.
All right, so like Praise just literally associated, like, I don't think either one of these two people have, like, camera here, have said they're atheists, but Praise just totally associated this is what happens when you become an atheist. And what point does any of this have to make with anything that we were talking about before? Smokey Saint wanted this. This is, what was so pressing. This was, gonna destroy me. Don't worry, Marty, it's not that much longer, I don't think, although it's going to get a bit crazier, I ain't going to lie. But Danny's going to come in and chill it out. He's going to chill it out. See, we're at 42. At 52, around somewhere 52, we got another slur somewhere after that. I misspeak, and I got to address that. At 5:58 or so, Danny comes in. So, where am I at? I'm at 42. So, yeah, we got about 12 minutes. Danny's going to chill it out.
You try to justify.
But I totally understand. Totally understand. It's bad. It's bad. I totally understand. Do you what you need to do mentally, for sure. It was very hard for me to keep my chill like I did. I did fail at instances throughout the entire thing, and I'm about to lose my shit. I ain't gonna lie, probably a little bit.
Most heinous things.
I don't believe.
Yeah,
in
let's not
child
infer everything,
sex.
but let's just say let's
I
not
don't.
infer everything. Let's just say Knock is an atheist, but he's not under these baby rapers. How about that?
We were honestly having
No, but
a
he can't justify.
conversation. We were having a conversation about consensual adult sex, and now we have adult child sex. It's literally what Matt Powell does. Literally.
Dude, anything that you do, good or bad, can be under consent, but it doesn't make it right or
It's
correct.
disgusting and bigoted as fuck what is happening right now.
True
All
that.
right, let's just
Truer
leave
thing never
it
been
at that
said.
and let's get on with the video.
Therefore shall be ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation. Of him also shall the Son of Man be ashamed.
God damn this.
Oh my God.
That's terrifying. But yeah, what is happening right now is one of the most bigoted things that's, I've personally experienced, and I've experienced some bigoted shit, without a doubt. But Smokey is so thoroughly enraged right now. Doesn't really even, I don't think, quite understand. Like, he's going to try to get into this argumentation, but I mean, he's way out there in left field right now. Way out there. These other Christians are just going along with it because it's Smokey and they just follow along blindly. It's disturbingly frightening.
Where's he now? That was a long
you
time ago.
guys spend so much time talking.
What's the
shit
name of
about
that kid again?
I mean, it's been crazy. It's been crazy. We about to get to. We're getting close to where it's gonna calm down again, but it's gonna probably get worse before it gets better.
But you are essentially the same.
We're not the same.
Grace, what's the name of that kid again? I haven't seen that in a
You're
long
all
time.
bigoted ass fuckers.
Oh,
that
I'm
are
a bigot.
so insecure with your
I
own
can't hear you that good
sexuality.
at first, but
Oh,
So insecure with your own dicks that you don't know what to do with them.
Now he's just trolling now.
Well, if I was insecure about my center,
if you get the name of the kid, stick it in the inside chat.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I can't even get a word in edgewise. It's my video, my point. Everyone wants to talk over me. Can everyone shut up for a second?
You kind of suck. Fuck you.
Respond to the stupid fag rage. Thanks.
Okay,
The
yeah,
point
I'm such a whatever you just said.
Faggot rage.
I am so dumb, and I'm so gay.
So
why don't you let Smokey say something? Real quick?
Smokey, when are you gonna come over here so I can put it up in you?
Can you shut the hell up, you stupid spurgy bitch?
Probably not, because I'm not one of your. You know what, Smokey? I'm not one of your little acolytes that does whatever the fuck you say. You're nothing to me. You're like a rapist to me. That's all you are.
All you
Shots fired.
Overtalk me and keep me.
Yeah, I said it. You're a rapist to me. Because he's so triggered and just so disrespectful, and he couldn't possibly keep the chill. And of course, I am going off there. I've had enough. I'll rein it back in. I will. I'll rein it back in. But is he so? Just wow. And if you could have seen the side chat, just a second, or. If you could have seen the side chat, all the acolytes, it was disgusting. But I'm gonna let this play for a second.
Me from making my point. Do you know why?
You got your point about the adult child sex. You know about that, don't you, Smokey?
Because you have no answer, and that's where you're gonna go next. Because
Smokey likes them little girls. Didn't y'all know?
You have no answer.
Apparently, you do too.
This is just the point where I say that you deserve every pejorative.
Well, no, this is the point where you should be calling out Smokey for liking them little girls.
Yeah, but you got a picture of you swallowing it.
Do you see? Do you see that?
Oh yeah, show it. I offered dick pics to you earlier,
Does he want to let me make my point? Because now he's just turning into the
Smokey, make your point. You child predator, you.
Okay, so here's the point. Rage supports pedophilia, and this is why he doesn't want me to make this point. And I wasn't going to go that way with it, but since he wants to be so disgusting, we'll talk about how Rage is a.
So do you see like the displacement of guilt there? Like I've never had any issues ever come up in my name with any of this shit. Smokey has. Smokey needs to prove himself. However he chooses to do that, he hasn't done anything yet. But immediately, as soon as I say it, as soon as I bring out the monkey in the room here, he starts accusing me of being a pedo lover. So yeah, we got some insanity to ensue, and then Danny's gonna work his magic.
The pedophile supporter, okay?
Cool.
This is exactly the argument that's being presented in this video that he's trying to deflect by trying to distract us to Matt Powell. And It's not even the same point.
Like you literally made the same point that Matt Powell makes, but go ahead.
Can you put him in the back so I can actually finish my point? Because he's not going to let me talk. I promise you he won't.
Just let him talk. He'd let you talk.
I promise you he won't. I guarantee you right now, he will not let me finish what I have to say. I guarantee it.
All right, I'll be an acolyte, Smokey.
I've talked over him sometimes, but usually I've let him go for long stretches.
Go ahead.
So do you see? I promise you, once I get halfway through this point, he's going to start talking again. I guarantee it. If you don't put him in the back, I promise you he'll interrupt me. I guarantee.
Go ahead, put me in the back, and then bring me back when he's done.
Okay, I'm going to do that.
All right, so, freedom-loving American Smokey Saint, Trumper that he is, who just advocates for free speech, First time, just censorship, authority. What's the fucking word I'm looking for? It's not coming. Authority, asserting his authority, asserting his authority over Praise and the rest of the Christians in the room, and Praise, you know, that time I gave it to him. All right, just put me in the back. The dictator speaks. The freedom-loving American wants to censor me from being able to respond. Let's hear what Smokey has to say, I guess.
Appreciate it. So the idea of the principle, the one foundational moral leg that the atheists have to lean on to separate the difference between homosexuality and pedophilia is the concept of the morality of consent. Now, the concept of the morality of consent is a cultural construct, and not one that they can even claim as an objective moral, because it's not appearing anywhere inside the natural world or the animal kingdom. Rape is very common. So consent is just something that they can structure of minutia as a leg to stand on to say, well, this is why pedophilia is wrong, because there's no agency consent in that. And the only reason they get that is from experts in the field that they rely on that say that children are incapable of consent, or there needs to be consent laws. And that comes from these cultural institutions, not objectively moral ones. So if we kick that leg out from their moral argument about the idea of consent being the foothold of the moral difference between the two fronts, whether it be pedophilia or homosexuality, then they have no leg to stand on to say that pedophilia is wrong anymore. And here what you have sociological, psychological secularists who are experts in the field that are denying any value to the consent laws, or that the consent laws really should be considered all, or that a child doesn't have the right to actually consent to autonomous use of their body in sexual pursuits. So they're actually kicking out the leg of the atheist argument of claiming that, well, consent is the issue. Well, once you remove that, and these experts in the field of psychology are doing exactly that, kicking out that leg of the argument, the atheists, if they support homosexuality, no longer has an argument against pedophilia, because now it is a consensual action between two parties capable of giving consent. And this is what the modern secular field is pushing for, the modern secular field of atheism. And Rage fully supports that entire field and its contents therein, whereby Rage is actually directly supporting and rooting for pedophilia. So he can call me whatever he wants. But at the end of the day, because of the social positions that he's leveraging and taking, he's losing the ability for his moral outrage against pedophilia. And the very metric that he's appealing to is starting to justify it. So where is he going to go to leverage his supposed moral standard in the situation when the experts and the center line that he's appealing to are telling him that it's okay? So that's the issue. If he supports homosexuality, and of course the fields of study that support that as a healthy sexual practice, which now are also turning to support this, where is he going to go? He can't. He's going to have to hold the line and basically end up becoming, as he's trying to deflect now, a supporter of pedophilia. So now I'm done, and you can bring him back in to respond.
Now they can bring me back in to respond after all of that long diatribe of... What was that? What was that? A couple people here that he pulled up on a video are a couple sick fucks that are... I don't even know what his point is. So because they're making an argument for something I don't agree with on just so many visceral levels of being a human being that eventually I'm going to listen to these two people and have to agree that pedophilia is indeed something I'm going to have to agree with. Huh? What the fuck? So, Smokey Saint, the incel that he is, doesn't like the fact that, we argue for consent. Is trying to somehow take that consent argument away and then latch us and call us, you heard it, atheists, just all of atheists. This is atheism. Pedo lovers. The guy that fucked a kid. Allegedly. You fucking kidding me, Smokey Saint? Like, are you fucking kidding me, Smokey Saint? But here we are, my friends. Here we are. We are about 8 minutes away from from Danny coming in and chilling the shit down. I'm about to put my foot in my mouth before too long. We have more slurs coming, so the triggering continues, I guess.
I don't think he understood a single word you said. I did.
Yeah, of course you did. All right, so Smokey, you don't even consent.
You know what? I think at the beginning of the stream when I had something in my mouth, it was like a tooth that chipped because now I have a toothache. So, I've been turning my camera off not all the time just to smoke bowls, but to go and take care of this toothache. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back.
Do you see? He literally understand nothing about what
I told you.
Smokey,
I told you.
You kicked the only leg he had. Man, it's terrible.
Well, no. So, like, literally, I mean, that was kind of scary. So I support pedophilia because I support consensual adult relationships. So if you take the consent out of that, which was Smokey's entire argument, was if you take the consent out of this, then Rage supports pedophilia, but you can't take the consent out of that. I support.
You're literally.
No, I support adult consensual sexual relationships. That's what I support.
You're looking at two secular experts in the
You
field of
took out
psychology.
consent altogether because you're an incel, Smokey, because you don't believe in consent, because
So again-
you've already proven that with your own actions.
Okay, so again, you're watching two experts who are infinitely smarter than you, who are from your secular field of study, who are saying children are perfectly capable of sexual consent.
If they are saying that, then they're not of me or anything about me.
Okay,
Smokey.
justify that. Okay, justify that then. What makes them
Because
not
I
of
believe
you?
in adult consensual relationships.
Okay, well, they believe that child relationships are consensual.
Well, I
And
don't.
they're atheists and secularists. Well, that doesn't matter.
Well,
What
I mean, a lot of
justification do you have to tell them they're wrong?
a lot of theists and Christians believe that same shit too, Smokey. So what's your point?
Aren't you? Don't run, bitch. Answer the question. What justification do you have to say they're wrong?
What?
You don't have any. There you go, you dumb fag. You finally landed on my point. This is why you support child rape. You disgusting piece of fucking
don't support child rape.
You literally do.
No,
Rage.
you're the one that kind of like raped a kid, not me.
Stupid to follow it.
Do you have proof I've raped children, Smokey?
He's not listening to it.
It's horrible. It's horrible. No, I clearly said I'm for, adult consensual sexual relationships. That's what I'm for. I'm about to put my foot in my mouth. But at this point, it's just been this constant bombardment for several hours. The dog pile, now this horrible shit that we're talking about. You're not going to be perfect every time. So I'm going to have to explain something here in a moment. But didn't articulate it the best way. I'm sure Smokey gonna run with it. Will do his thing. If I did say that, I'm just gonna have to articulate it better because I didn't spend time to really articulate what I was saying.
He's not listening to it.
You guys all suck Smokey's dick. I mean, this is nonsense. It's literally
not. This is the reason why I can call you a bigot to the pedophiles. You would not say anything negative about homosexual consensual sex, but you have a negative attitude towards pedophilia. So you're being a bigot to the pedophiles. So
why you're such a big old fat pedophobe?
Because they just literally said that. I'm being a bigot to pedophiles. A pedophobe. That's not. I don't think I'm about to put my foot in my mouth. But I don't think you thought that one through, because it kind of seems like you're advocating for pedophilia, or at least the people that do such things. It kind of seems that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're fucking pedophiles.
Okay,
right?
okay.
Why aren't y'all mad against the pedophiles?
I am mad against the pedophile.
So why are you ridiculing me for being mad against the pedophile?
Because you have no justification to be against.
Oh, because why? Because I don't have a kid and I don't want her.
Smokey's has to insinuate or insert. Because I have no justification not to, Smokey can't understand why I dislike pedophilia because he has his issues.
Her to be raped by somebody.
That's not our point.
No, that's my point.
This is the reason why the only semblance of an assertion you can make is a false equivalency.
Hey, wait a second, Rage.
Wait a minute.
Hey, hold on.
You guys continue.
No. Wait. I get one question.
I'm not going to be angry right now.
One question.
Continue, please.
Rage, you're the dumbest cunt that's ever lived.
Are there different?
Probably.
Rage, are there different ages and different?
See, there's that woosah moment. I've been hyping it even since the first scream. There's literally a moment where I'm just like, all right, I'm losing my shit. I'm not gonna get mad right now. I'm not gonna do that because I'm a human being, and this is outrageous, and yeah.
States for laws of consent.
Sure, but even I disagree with most. I disagree with most laws of consent. I think that
it's at times like this when you need an expert like Jack Smack 77.
Can I finish my response?
Yeah,
or is David gonna just interrupt me?
Yeah, I'll come in. How often do I do that? I'll tell you what. I'll talk right over you. If you're gonna be a little bitch boy, a little wimpy fuck, then I will talk over you. But I can.
I'm such a bitch boy. I've been here the whole time.
Pussy, all you pussies out here.
I'm against all of y'all, but I'm the bitch boy.
You're just a little pussy because I don't hardly say anything, and then I say something for 5 seconds. You get all worked up about you dumb little puss boy.
This would be Dave.
Puss boy. Go ahead, talk.
All right. Yep. Puss.
He's I say that Jill is special. This guy is just a blight on humanity.
Boy. Cool.
I really hope you review this.
The point is,
I really
I love David Knox.
Yeah, I kind of gave Smokey what he wanted. He really, really hoped I reviewed this because I look so bad.
David Knox. Oh, I love that. Man, this is the stream that I'm going to keep looking at it all the time.
Yeah, I'm definitely having fun with this stream. Sure.
Oh, you guys are having so much fun. Like seriously, this is.
Is it less bad if
interesting?
Is it less bad if it's 17 and a half rather than 18 if that was a consent law for a certain state?
Well, yeah, exactly. A perfect one. Let me find it. Smokey just made a long stream of assertions connected by wild and unsupported associations, not the least of which was that the idea of consent is an illusory construct. Illusory. How am I pronouncing that? Spot on. It was just it kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth, right? It's like... It's been a process. It's been several hours now. I think he's quite surprised, although I do, make a few emotional responses. I am able to kind of keep my chill and my cool the entire time. Under the face of just an assault, an onslaught of just constant nonsense and all it has been. And, and I think that he's just so just kind of pent up and angered and triggered by all of it, by just not it quite going the way that he thought it was going to go, that he is really in deep right now, really in deep with his, emotions right now. And he's revealing a lot about himself right now. And the very scary thing is what was going on in the side chat. Now I thought about reading some of it. Because, they talk, they're really concerned about me bringing up the fact that he has been associated with allegations of having sex with a minor, which is a fact. He has been associated with that. The side chat is focused on me saying these quote unquote false allegations and not him just straight up literally calling me a pedophile lover without any supportive evidence behind that, just because simply Smokey Saint simply says a thing, it must be so. And it was very scary to see everybody in the side chat that was going along with it.
Honestly, me personally, I don't think people should be with, 10 years younger than yourself. I think that,
Sweet home Alabama.
But, I would never push my beliefs on as law. So
well, would you push your belief on these guys here?
No.
Really?
Unless it was unless it was don't fuck little kids, Smokey. Don't fuck little
Wait
kids.
a minute.
I mean, if I wouldn't pass a law, but I would definitely teach, don't hate gay people. Don't be a shithead Christian. But definitely, I'm totally cool with the laws that say don't fuck little kids, Smokey.
This is coming from a leftist too. Leftists usually love trying to implement.
Oh, thank you so
laws
much. Perfect. Thank you. The focus is to keep my cool, keep my composure. And I do that with some failures, but it was a very long stream and it's just a bombardment. So thank you for that. I do appreciate it.
Going to somebody else's.
I'm not.
You know what, Veckel? You know what,
You are a
Veckel?
leftist, bro.
You know what,
I'm a
Veckel?
leftist, but I'm not like a normal leftist.
Veckel, listen.
So, you're right there. I should have really honed in on the point because I mentioned this earlier. Veckel's like, you're a leftist, bro. You believe in taking freedoms from people. Literally, we're not the ones trying to take reproductive rights from women. I'm not the one in this stream that said I would lock up people for sexual debaucheries that were what I consider sexual debaucheries because of a book written 2,000 years ago said a thing. So yeah, that wasn't me. That wasn't the leftist position. That was you righty-tighties over there.
If you want any proof of that that the whole community of pedophiles are trying to use LGBTQ as a stepping stone, as a mediary, just take a look at cuties. Take a look at cuties. Take a look at cuties.
Right, so you guys are all essentially Matt Powell. See, you guys all talk shit about
Matt
Powell.
Powell is a theologian.
You're all essentially Matt Powell. You all make the same homophobic arguments that Matt Powell makes.
I am not a homophobe.
I think it's this nervous reaction. I smoke so many bowls when I think I just need to quit smoking weed. I can't quit smoking cigarettes, and maybe the weed is a thing about that. But now that I'm not on all of my medications, it seems like maybe it's some kind of nervous reaction because I'm smoking a lot. But I'm gonna keep smoking. And I mean, listening to this shit, really, you got to be just stoned out of your gourd. That ain't no lie. That ain't no lie, my friend. So I'm gonna kiss you.
Rage, you know that, right?
I'm not a homophobic.
Go ahead, sorry. I mean, you are literally comparing
Rage. Let me ask you this, Rage. What's wrong with killing gay people?
It's what Matt Powell does, so you're no
Rage,
different.
what's wrong with killing gay people? What's wrong with that?
Huh? Are you seriously? Why should I have to tell you that, Veckel?
What's wrong with killing gay people? What's wrong with it?
Do you want to kill gay people?
What's wrong with killing gay people? I just want to know.
Do you want to kill gay people,
Veckel? I want to know what's wrong with killing gay people.
No, seriously though, Rage. What makes a man a man?
He don't know what a man is.
What makes a man a man?
I surely
He's
don't.
a leftist.
I'm not a dude. I'm a leftist.
No, seriously, though,
Sexuality,
Rage, what
gender
makes
is
a man a man?
is a political construct, as they all say, So
What
there's
makes a
no
man a
man,
man?
there's no woman.
Wait, I'm confused about the criticism of Rage here. I really am not getting it.
I don't either, Danny. Thank you.
All right, where are we at? All right, I totally must have missed. I must not have put my foot in my mouth too much because I missed it going through it. So it must not have been too bad. We'll see. We'll see. There was a point that I was speaking about what was it? Laws of consent, and I totally misspoke. I didn't really get a chance. I've been overcut like through the whole thing. And my point that I was trying to make and should have clarified was that I think that the laws of consent are too young. I think that if anything, all the laws of consent across the nation should be like 19 probably. If you're a 30-something-year-old dude, you really shouldn't be having sex with 19-year-olds, in my opinion. But I mentioned this like 10-year thing, and like I just need to clarify that because it was this conversation that I had with Allie when Allie was around. At the time, I attracted younger women than myself. I was around 40 years old. And so I was dating a lot of younger women, 28, 29, 30 years old. And me and Allie had this really great conversation. And I considered, the things that she was saying, and I made this personal change. Like, even though I seem to attract, these late 20s, early 30s, and I'm, 40, 41 years old, I'm really going to have this like really solid rule of dating people more my own age, so like this really hardcore 10-year rule, but like somebody like, within my age range, 2-3 years, and I should have articulated that better, but I do believe I was probably cut off. So I didn't get to articulate that, and they were having a field day with it in the side chat. So, yeah, it must not have been too bad because I didn't pick up on it to correct it, even though I was looking for it. So it must not have been too awful bad. But now Danny's coming in. We've been through the insanity. It's going to continue for a bit, but basically, Danny's going to try to figure out Smokey. And he's going to do a really good job, and it's going to, we've been through the madness. Usually, there's, you build to the insanity, right? But that not here, not on the rage. We start with the insanity. Now comes the calm. The only probably real useful part of this entire conversation is about to ensue. Now, if you're more of a philosophical dude, or if you're like myself and you're not a philosophical person, I think Danny makes it really easy to follow along. I was able to follow along. I thought it's a really great conversation, but it does go the way Danny wants it to go. And Smokey probably shouldn't have kept going, but we'll see. We'll see what you guys think about it. So it's gonna start calming down now, because now Danny's coming in. I'm gonna do it just a little bit back. Danny's gonna come in, and it's gonna become a conversation between Danny and Smokey. Let's do this.
Don't fuck little
Wait a minute, and this is coming from a leftist too. Leftists usually love trying to implement laws that's going to take away somebody else's freedom.
I'm not.
You know what, Veckel? You know what,
You're a
Veckel?
leftist, bro.
You know what?
I'm a leftist, but I'm not like a normal leftist.
Veckel, listen.
I do that
if
shit.
you want,
I always remember that like Praise has these 7-hour streams. So just if you, oh man, all right. So we're gonna go to right up here. See where we're at.
Danny, thank you.
Oh, look, you getting all happy because somebody white knight.
That's just a little bit too far. All right.
I'm not a homophobic.
Though, Rage, you know that, right? If
I'm not a.
What's wrong?
I'm not a homophobic. Go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, you are literally comparing
Rage, let me ask you this, Rage. What's wrong with killing gay people?
It's what Matt Powell does, so you're no
Rage,
different.
what's wrong with killing gay people? What's wrong with that?
Too far back. I'm just gonna let it play.
Are you seriously?
Danny's gonna come in.
Why should I have to tell you that, Veckel?
What's wrong with killing gay people? What's wrong with it?
Do you want to kill gay people?
What's wrong with killing gay people? I just want to know.
Do you want to kill gay people?
I want to know what's wrong with killing gay people.
No, seriously though, Rage. What makes a man a man?
He don't know what a man is.
What makes a man a man?
I surely
He's
don't.
a leftist.
I'm not a dude. I'm a leftist.
No, seriously, though,
Sexuality,
Rage, what
gender
makes
is
a man a man?
is a political construct, as they all say, So
What
there's
makes a
no
man a
man,
man?
there's no woman.
But I mean, if you really like pick up on it, like they're just sitting there bashing me and ridiculing me for like saying like don't fuck kids.
Wait, I'm confused about the criticism of Rage here. I really am not getting it.
I don't either, Danny. Thank you.
Oh, look, he getting all happy because somebody white knighting him. Look at it, he getting all happy.
White knighting? What? Like,
I'm happy. Look at it.
There's literally
I'm sitting here
four
taking
people
it.
raging at Rage.
He's getting happy. Now, finally, somebody's standing up for
I'm
him.
like sitting here taking it, but it is nice to hear somebody be like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Look,
I
so
guess because Danny's
Rage,
able to bring something legitimate to the
is it
discussion.
that you want like his reasons for why people shouldn't die or we shouldn't throw gays off roofs?
Well, he's criticizing Christianity and he's falsely accusing
in the
everyone
last
in
hour.
Here. Well, he's falsely accusing everyone in there of advocating
here's what he-
a theonomy, which is not the case for anybody in this room.
Okay, so okay, so what does this have to do with pedophilia and all that stuff?
Well, Smokey had a point that he addressed for about 5 minutes, and it doesn't seem like anybody.
Wait, look, okay, Rage, are you against pedophilia?
So he says.
Yes, I'm 100% against pedophilia.
Yeah, and it presumably because it makes you uncomfortable. There's cases in which adults
I have a kid.
There's cases where adults
Because
take
it makes you
advantage of
uncomfortable.
children, given the huge difference in power dynamic, right?
Yeah,
Stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I don't think that children can give consent to adults.
Well, legal consent is going to be different from just consent simplicity, but yeah. So
yeah.
Okay, so what is the problem?
I already explained it, and it was through these experts here that are claiming that there isn't really necessarily an issue with the concept of consent or a child giving into consensual sexual union with an adult, that there's not necessarily any damaging dynamics that flow from that. It could simply be the perception of it being damaging than it actually being damaging. And so these are experts in the field of secular sociology and psychology that are making this claim. And if the appeal is through the cultural or secular studies of the idea of the principle of consent being the only moral leg that you have to stand on to say that pedophilia is not okay, but homosexuality is, then if you kick that leg out of the concept of consent, which is what these secular experts are attempting to do, then you no longer have a just.
You notice how he keeps calling like the two pedophiles he pulled up to make his point that atheists or pedo lovers. He keeps calling them experts. These experts. Like, he has a lot of respect for these two motherfuckers. Smokey's just like blatantly giving
justification to go against pedophilia if you support any type of sexual autonomy.
Secular professor.
And he's just like regurgitating the line of assertions he put forward earlier. It's just Smokey.
Usually, it's not just merely consent.
Renegade University.
They would want to say that it's consent between adults or something like that.
No,
right?
but that's my point. Is that the concept of that very concept alone is
Smokey
something
is
provided
pulling
by the secular cultural framework. Like
I will shut up and allow Danny to do his thing, but I've got to rein it back in again.
No,
I'm getting emotional.
We don't see some.
No, he's literally pulling a Matt Powell. He's pulling up two fucking pedophiles.
Rage, can you let Smokey finish his point first?
Why? Because
you're pulling a Darth. You're pulling a Darth.
Yeah, he really can't. He keeps repeating himself, which isn't what I'm saying at all, because he can't follow.
It's always about the gays.
So he just keeps trying to label.
No,
it as
we're
a
literally talking
Matt
about
Powell
pedophiles right now, not gays.
Okay, listen, guys, I gotta go, but thanks for having me here, Praise. I gotta go.
Yeah,
See ya.
you contributed so much.
Yeah. Knock, I love you. I love you very much.
Yeah,
I'll
but
just
usually,
wait. I'll just
Smokey,
wait till
usually
everyone's
they're
done with their stupid fucking antics, so I can actually respond to the charge.
Smokey's so mad right now.
Oh wait. Are we done?
Yeah, go ahead, Smokey.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks. So the point is that whether or not the secularist actually has a valid justification to have an issue with
He is so incredibly, extremely angry. And Danny will do a good job, I think, of talking him down a little bit. And you'll notice, like, after I finally leave the room, which will be like around 3:38 in the morning, my time, it's amazing, honestly, that I stayed as cool and calm and cohesive as I did, considering I'm not a young man. I like going to bed around midnight.
if they affirm sexual autonomy of the agent, and the only real issue or the only real claim to have an issue with pedophilia is an issue of power dynamics and an issue of consent, well, that again, as we just showed, can be diffused. It's not an objective claim, it's a subjective cultural claim. And so if that's the only leg to stand on to draw the differentiation between supporting pedophilia and supporting homosexuality or any other form of sexual debauchery, then what does the secularist do when that leg is kicked out from the equation?
Nobody's kicking out that leg from the equation, Smokey Saint, but you. You don't like consent. This is something that's been said about you.
And there's no longer a valid, justification to say that, well, the consent is what matters. Because
so it's not just, but they're not going to say it's merely consent. I mean, maybe some people do say that, but the stronger position is that it's a bundle of considerations. It's consent.
Again, that's just a subjective agent's claim, and again,
Sammy?
it would be built on that cultural framework of study and application. If
Sure,
these
what's wrong with that?
Well, that's my point, is that the secularist doesn't actually ultimately have a foundational justification to go against pedophilia if they affirm sexual autonomy.
Wait, they have their own stances, though. They have their own stances against it, or their own considerations.
Well, again, it doesn't matter then, because then it
Why wouldn't
it's
they
not
matter?
an objective. Well, because it's not an objective moral claim. You're
What's
not
an
saying
objective?
You're not saying this is a collective ought. You're just
They accuse me of being like Darth Dawkins,
saying this is a subjective individual ought. And so
I don't know what
atheists
objective
say,
oughts really mean, though.
that means it's only wrong to you. So
it's a good time to show up. The insanity is pretty much over. I mean, we're still kind of into it. The whole, we're all pedo lovers and shit. But the thing is it's a long story. But good time to show up. The insanity's over. The stillness comes.
That's subjective, right?
You can't make a claim to it's supposed to be wrong to everyone. You can only make a claim that it's supposed to be wrong to you. Now, if your whole claim of where you get that from is just from your culture, from what has been discovered and what you seem to be practical, those are all subjective to the culture. And again, we can see where our culture has pushes of people pushing against this norm that has been the idea, the separation of the idea of moral autonomy of a child is simply having to do with the perception of consent. And if that changes in viewpoint, there is no longer a claim of a secularist being able to go against pedophilia if they're affirming sexual autonomy of the agent. That's the whole point. It's just that if you're going to affirm those things, be consistent and be honest. But it just turns into this, well, I'm okay with this and I'm not okay with this. And you ask why? Well, just because I feel it. Well, I don't care about that. And that's not how I think we should judge morality. That's the whole point.
Yeah, there are two issues here. Number one, whether it's sufficient to give a stance, dependent reason or an internal reason against things like pedophilia. It seems like
I'm going to be quiet a lot moving forward. I'm going to let Danny do his things, but I don't think I've been just outright censored for the second time. So that should still be coming. So I'm not quite out of it yet, I don't think. But I am going to allow Danny to do his little thing. I've taken it for about 3.5 hours. It got really, really crazy there because eventually Smokey Saint just had to be Smokey and Icky Taint all wrapped into one together. But we're through all of that now. Danny's going to do his thing.
Like a non-theist or a theist could offer an internal reason for why pedophilia,
Throw it on full
they
screen
would
for a
think,
minute.
pedophilia to be wrong. That's the first issue, and then the second issue is just the coherence of an external reason or a stance independent reason, sometimes called objective morality. If objective morality is just a stance independent ought, I really don't know what that means, because it's just you're going to have to explain what that means. I know what an internal reason is. I just don't know what an external one is.
Sure. Well, that's the idea of either appealing to a personal subjective preference or standard, or something that externally should apply to more than just you. Like if you say having sex with children is wrong, when you're saying that, you're not generally saying that as in, well, I just think I shouldn't have sex with kids. You're generally saying, I don't think anyone should have sex with kids. So that's appealing to something you believe should be an objective moral standard, not a subjective one. But your justification is ever only purely subjective. And that's the breakdown. That's the issue.
Now, again, if you are kind of new to the stream, the whole reason we're even talking about this is it started with the myriad of things of just endless tirades from Veckel talking about how crappy I am. And then, Smokey started interjecting a little bit, and it was kind of Veckel and Jill kind of teaming up on me there for a while. And, like, the Christians were just really doing the dog pile and piling on and throwing elbows and, rib shots and shit, dirty little Christians. Let's go back up here for a minute. I always say I'm going to let it play for a minute, and then I got to talk my shit. Dirty little Christians playing their dirty little games. But the reason we're here now is because, we were talking Christian history. I brought up those, evil things that Christians did back in the day, just historic things like burning people for witchcraft and it being just this wildfire that's just kind of spread along Europe and even here to America. It still kind of goes on to this modern day in some third world countries. So we brought that up, and Smokey made the assertion that that's not real Christians. It started to get a little triggered. And it got here basically because Smokey wanted, he would say that real Christians could never do a thing. So I called him out on a thing that he had said in a stream a few days before. And that thing was, Smokey said that he was all for locking up gay people. And even in this stream was like, anybody that commits sexual debauchery, as he put it, according to the Bible, should be locked up in prison. So I'm like, the conversation goes from there. We're like, well, you'll totally still do this type of thing in this modern day, and you're trying to say that real Christians would never do that. And so we were having this conversation about adult consensual sexual relationships, and he brought up a video about two people who were arguing for adult child sex. And he continued to call them experts, and it was really weird, and it's gotten really, really weird. And it's been insane for an hour and a half, somewhere around there. It's been absolutely insane. That's why we're here on this topic, and Danny's got to do Danny's thing.
Yeah, so people mean different things when they say X is wrong. There are studies that show that people mean all sorts of things, right? And it's not some of the surveys.
I think generally, if you say something is wrong, you mean it should be seen or viewed as wrong to everyone.
No, I talked to Lance Bush about this, who's a psychologist. He's at Cornell finishing his PhD in psychology, and he has a degree in philosophy as well. And he does a lot of research on what people mean by these terms. And the research is inconclusive about what people mean when they say X is wrong. Okay. But
I only need to ask the agent to clarify, and I will assure you that most times if they say something is wrong, and I haven't seen an instance otherwise, but even when a secularist is communicating that they believe something is wrong, they believe it should be seen as wrong by more than one people. Like Rage, as an example, or any secularist, any leftist, if they say, fighting against the rights of gays is wrong. They're saying that as in it's something that should be held as an objective standard to all people. Like that's what's inside the claim.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I'll agree with you. I'll agree with you. I don't accept. I don't think there's that external reasons or stance in the independent oughts make any sense. I think they're incoherent. And if Rage or anyone else espouses external reasons, I'm going to object and then just ask what an external reason is or an independent
well,
ought.
that's, you know what, Danny, and you stumbled on my whole point this whole time. Rage just keeps wanting to taking it back to a Powellism. But my whole point was, if you're gonna judge based upon a certain standard of a dynamics of cultural perception, it's important to understand that that culture can change. And if it does, what are you gonna rely on then as your moral framework of moral outrage that you're gonna give against these things? And the whole point was about that shifting sand of perception that a common secularist will use to claim and appeal to what they would call an objective standard, but it isn't. And that,
All right, so like I totally told you guys earlier that as Smokey spoke, especially here during the Danny part, really like listen to what the guy says, because you know you've seen it throughout the entire stream. These people have just bent to Smokey's will since he started talking, completely. Just jumped in and made themselves look to be just as monstrous as Smokey, and Smokey has that effect. And we talked about kind of observing them in their natural environment when they're in groups and they can kind of feed off of each other. How they actually treat us, what kind of respect do they give us that they're going to demand such respect in return? So listen to the things that Smokey says, because they don't make much sense. They're not these intelligent, like, oh my God, fucking arguments. They're just statements of how monstrous he is and how he tries to justify these things, and then kind of puts it on the quote unquote secularists, which they have repeatedly just lumped all of atheism in that. Whatever secularist that they're referring to, it's just atheism. It's wow. And so I've said that several times, and it's been pretty apparent, but it's going to become really apparent as he's talking to Danny, who is just far superior than he is when it comes to conversations like this.
that was my whole point. So what you just said kind of summarized exactly where I was trying to go with it.
Stay up here.
What was I saying? What was it that I said that you agreed with?
This concept of this idea that you are building the framework of morality based upon facts closest at hand, or what's available to you in your cultural reference work. But they point to these things and say, well, this is objectively the case, but it's subjectively acquired. So like you can't make these external appeals, like external to the agent, unless you can justify that. That's the point. And if
Yeah,
they
but I think
lose
the problem extends to Christians and theists as well, right? The problem extends to everyone,
agreed,
right?
but we have a standard to point to justify it. To
No,
say
but there's going
this
to be an open question, right? There's going to be an open question as to whether you should follow the institution of God, right? So it's not going to be. I don't think the problem is going to be solved if you include God in the mix.
Well, of course it does.
I don't see how.
I mean, I don't know who the fuck is typing. I'm going to assume it's Dave. Dave, you suck.
Well, of course, because you're appealing to a standard external to yourself beyond
Stop
simply
typing.
the subjective agent, and you're
Well, I'll
saying
do that
this
too.
is the standard that leads to ultimate net benefit.
But that just becomes an institutional norm, not a moral norm. But you presumably your whole moral framework is said to
No. The institutional norms come from moral norms. I mean
Well, all I mean by
you construct what should be a social or cultural norm from what is perceived as.
Oh no, Jenna. Sorry. Yeah, it's been an insane trip. This happened last night. I was in there for 3.5 hours. I was up way too late. I should have taken a nap today, probably.
As the morality, it filters out. It's not the representative of the morality itself, but the morality creates it.
What I mean by institutional norm is just a type of hypothetical norm where if God wants you to do something, you should do it. That's an institutional norm.
Okay. Oh, that's what you're talking about.
It's just a type of hypothetical norm. So the point is that if your whole moral framework is derived from the statement God is good or God's nature is good. I'm just going to ask you what you mean by good, right, in that statement. And if it's just going to be by definitionally of God's essence or of God or God's nature, then it's just going to be a vacuous statement, right? It's just going to be saying,
no, you know my answer to that, and I don't want to go down that whole road again. But you know, it's along the idea of telos, intention, and love.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to help, though.
Of course it will. Of course, because everything that is practiced on the spectrum of love is that which is in the spectrum of goodness, and the deprivation thereof is evil. So, and every action,
even homosexual love, pedophilic love,
that's not love.
Oh, what do you mean by love now?
I mean the type of love that flows from God. That's a self-destructive, hateful.
The type of love that flows from God. Like, just listen to the like Smokey is kind of in over his head, and he knows it. Spoiler alerts. The moment that I do leave the conversation, and I'm going to let it go a while, and I'm going to let Danny do his thing. I don't believe I was ever censored that second time, so I got to really pipe in one time that really pisses Smokey off again. But when I leave, pretty much immediately, Smokey concedes to Danny. The moment that I leave. And then, like, Jill starts talking about how I like to have sex with animals. It's we'll watch just a moment once it's done. But it's been a long day. I'm actually going to get through this entire thing today. It only took 3.5 hours earlier, and now I've been streaming for over 2 hours now. So yeah, we are into this thing. We're going to get it done today, and I can take a day off tomorrow and just chill, hang out, and then back to work on Monday.
Faux version of love. It's not real love. It doesn't actually offer any benefit. It's actually hateful and destructive. So that's why it's not loving. It just tries to masquerade as
just give me just tell me what you mean by love, like the definition.
What love is? Well, God is love.
Okay, so God is love. So the statement.
God. So
if the statement God is love,
the way that we understand. Okay, so the way that we. Right,
go ahead.
The way that we understand what even love is, which is to benevolently give of yourself upon another agent or towards another agent. Like, we all tend to have a general concept, although not super specific. We all have a general concept of what the demonstration of love is, but
that concept you just said there is applicable to homosexual relationships.
No, it isn't. Because then it violates what the actual core concept of the expression of love is.
Just so you know, like, when Praise does those things, when he flashes those faces across the screen, here, we'll turn this back on now. When he does that, that's Praise bending the knee to Smokey Saint. All of those people are people that Smokey probably at one time liked, and now they don't like. I'm included in that list. You guys have seen some of the awesome pictures. But when he does that he's just showing that he's just this complete cult follower now of a man that I literally covered for like a 2-week stretch that couldn't decide if he hated Smokey Saint or not, and now he's just a complete cult follower. And all of those little things that he flashes across the stream are basically Smokey Saint's enemies. It's
because love doesn't filter down into those types of practices. Love doesn't.
No, but the way that you just defined love right there was something like caring for one's well-being, maybe even sacrificial.
Right.
Okay, homosexual partners can sacrifice for each other for their well-being.
No, they destroy each other. They destroy each other in their
Wait. If you're okay, so is the concept of love you just gave was something like just now was sacrificing.
It's not loving to be gay with someone.
Yeah, but the way you define love, right?
That's not a loving thing to do to anyone.
Yeah, the way that you just define love is sacrificing something you value for their well-being, right?
No,
okay,
I
so
said
then go
that.
ahead and define love.
That's a super obligation, but it doesn't matter again in their union because they're destroying each other. There's no love in it.
Okay, so it's not. That's not the definition of love. You said that. Then before that, you said love. God is love. That's the definition, right?
So whatever he intends, or whatever is the expression that he intends, or the direct intention, the telos, then that is on the spectrum of love. That is goodness.
Okay, so when you say God is love, what you mean by love is what in that statement to make it substantive.
It's not a pure. Well, that's why I said earlier when I qualified and I said it can only be analogously referenced. It's not a variable that can be directly specified.
Okay, if it's analogous, it's a common property.
In order to know it, you need to see how it filters through the telos or the intention of God or his nature. That, again, it's not the type of thing you fit into a set of variables or dynamics or specific philosophical.
Like, really, Dave. It's got to be Dave. Dave's a dick. So I could probably adjust my camera a little bit. Dave's a dick, so it's got to be Dave. But seriously, Dave, stop with the fucking typing.
Straight.
Sure, but if it's analogous,
if you don't know Dave, he's piped in a couple times, and he's a douche. He's a dick. He really makes no sense at all when he does pipe in. He's the news unit dude. Complete dickhead. And I don't say that lightly. I say that, as a fellow dickhead, but he just takes it to levels that are atrocious.
analogous is a common property, right? If there's an analogy between A and B, there's a common property that's shared by them. Otherwise, it's not analogous. So what's the common property between the sense of love that we use on an everyday basis and God, and the sense of love that you're using to predicate God?
Well, that's the thing too. Like, we don't even use love coherently all the time. Like, I can say I love cheeseburgers, and it's not. And I'm really not talking about that. I have some sort of deep, yearning affection to sacrifice myself for cheeseburgers. Like that. Like,
yeah, you love Jesus, but presumably your love for Jesus is that sense of love is going to be similar or analogous to when you say God is love, right?
Right. The idea is to ultimately abide by the intention, which is then along God's nature, because I know that filters into love actions that are actual love actions, not simply just machinations of a natural mind.
Love actions and machinations of a natural mind. Love actions with a 14-year-old child, I heard.
Yeah, so when you say that
I
you
can't help
love
myself.
Jesus,
Evil.
or you love your wife, or you love your neighbor,
I heard.
You're saying that sense of love is analogous with the statement "God is love." If those two senses of love are analogous, what is the common property?
The common property is again back to following by the telos of God's intention and nature. And if it's in that spectrum,
I might not be chilling tomorrow. I might be going to get my damn tooth looked at. This shit's starting to hurt. Must have been like, yeah, because it was probably like some little chipped tooth. Damn, getting old. I tell my daughter all the time, like, I've always taken care of my teeth. I do have bad gum genetics, so it kind of runs in the family. And my brother's had an easier time of it than me. It's looking like I might be at the dentist tomorrow.
It's good, and all you need to do, my justification for that is to look at the utilitarian dynamics that flow therein. So if God wrote reality, and God is goodness, and God is love, then what I would expect is that by his moral commands, there tends to produce a potential net benefit or total net benefit. And so that's the justification after the fact. But I look to the telos and the intention to say these things that are representative and flow through from the nature of God are good. And then I see that they ultimately lead to good in practical instances. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, so you're saying the common property between these senses of love has to do with telos or function, the ends.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, but they're the end. They're ends of what? Of God's aims or something else?
Well,
yeah, and I do believe. I mean, Danny's gonna do Danny's thing. He's gonna walk him into circles, and it's gonna go for a little bit. I don't leave for. Oh, let's see. Still quite a bit. All right, right around there. So we're looking at a good 30 minutes of this easily. Still a little over 30 minutes. Yeah. So Danny's gonna do his thing. And he's gonna walk Smokey in circles, and I want to go to the end because I do believe I do pipe in occasionally. I'm gonna let Danny do his thing. But I want to go to the end because, like I said, at that very end, as soon as I leave, because it's now 3:38 in the morning and it's time to go to bed, and of course it was actually the sun was shining in Michigan today, so I had all of this sunbeams because I didn't put my damn shades down, raining in on me, and it woke me up earlier than I wanted to wake up. Yeah, so 3:38 in the morning, time to go to bed. Smokey concedes like to Danny immediately, so I have to show that part.
God's aims are always if God's intentions, if the agent is following through with God's intentions for the agent, then it's unavoidably on the spectrum of goodness. Like, because again, if he only intends good things, and the free will agent chooses to act upon the intentional state instead of the unintentional state, then he is in the spectrum of actualizing goodness in terms of his applications and his efforts. This is why Christ, when he was asked, and they said, well, what is the greatest commandment?
Yeah, and exactly, John Peterson, exactly what you're saying right now. And I've said this throughout the stream. Now, Smokey, at first, when we first started this, way back, like I think I started around 2:30. Smokey wasn't piping in too much, and he was trying to be friends and buddy, and all of that. Like, I'm trying to help you, Rage. He said that several times. I'm trying to help you out, you stupid fuck. He said that a couple times. But, he was quiet. But I pointed it out, and remember that I pointed it out and continue because Danny's going to do his thing, is that when Smokey speaks, it doesn't make that much sense. It just, he tries and he throws some big words together, but it just doesn't really, it isn't really cohesive. And it's just, like I said, it just kind of portrays like just the monstrousness of this person. And then it's very interesting to see how all the other Christians just kind of adopt it. And it's, interesting and scary.
And he said the first commandment, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And then he said the second is just like it. Love your neighbor, and on these hinge the whole of the law. So the idea was whatever is goodness, whatever is in the law for the Christian believer is supposed to be inside that spectrum of practicing love, which means you are yielding to your intentional state.
Yeah, so if you say that if X fulfills its telos, that's going to translate to, on your view, X fulfills God's aims for it, okay? And if telos is inevitably linked to love, okay? When you say God is love, that's just saying that God is telos, which means that you're just describing. Okay, so I'm not following the syllogism.
The telos is what comes from who he is.
Yeah, define telos. Define telos, because I just take telos to be about God's aims, right?
A perfect intention for a creation would be the telos.
But God's intention, not anyone's intention, right?
Yes, exactly. It would be God's intended intention for the agent. So
right,
God's intended intention for every agent out there is to accept him and be safe. But they have the free agency decision to go against their intentional state.
Okay, so if we're going, this is the syllogism, right? God is love. Love implies telos. Telos.
Their intentional state, definitely, religious speaking wise, wasn't the Christian God. It would have been some animal probably.
Implies a fulfillment of God's intention. Okay, so then I can substitute that in the statement God is love, right, as just a statement about God having goals or something like that.
Well, but I mean, God is love in the sense of the classical theist principle of divine
telos, right? You said telos.
You're kind of, yeah, but you're like oversimplifying it to try and compare, or I guess directly correlate telos and God. So like,
no, I'm trying to understand your sense of love, right? If your sense of love is connected, is your sense of love connected with telos?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay, so that means that it's inevitably love. It's just going to imply a fulfillment of God's intentions or goals, aims, desires, right?
Yes, for whatever the intentional state of the agent that's created is. Yes.
Yeah. So then, when we look at the statement "God is love," we can replace that with "God is some kind of fulfillment of God's desires," or I mean,
no, because you're now you're talking about, you're conflating things too, and I think there's some confusion going on here, and I'm trying to parse it out, because like when I'm saying God is love, and
the confusion going on, I think is probably on your end. I think Danny's being very targeted, he's asking questions, he's trying to figure it out, just like I said. It's going to be interesting because, of course, I'm going to be accused of not understanding a goddamn word. And I will grant, I'm not nowhere near Danny's level of philosophy. I'm really still, I'm just a baby. I'm a baby dude trying to like read some philosophy. I'm not on the ancients anymore. Probably Tony Designs was right. Fucking Tony Designs. But I know more about philosophy than I did, I'd say, I don't know, 6 months ago. I can follow along with what Danny's doing. And it's essentially got Smokey on the run. And it pretty much has for a while already. And it's gonna get a bit worse. It's gonna get a bit worse, but we're so far removed from the insanity, though. That's kind of like the brilliance of what Danny did. Was we have to remember, like when Danny came in, it was simply just asking, like, why are you essentially mocking Rage for having a position of not having sex with children, right? Because they were literally mocking me for that at the time. So that's kind of what the brilliance of what Danny did here last night, and I have to give him full props. It was much needed after several hours of just relentless Christians gone wild, I guess.
And then the agent's telos. Like, that is the agent fulfilling the intention therein. But God himself isn't the telos itself. The telos, or the intentional state, is what flows from what he is, which is love. So that is them abiding by whatever that intentional state is representative of what his nature is, which is love.
Yeah, so look, here's my problem. If I were to say Smokey is loving, or I'm loving, or even God is loving, I'm talking about sign of psychological disposition in which...
Yeah, that's a problem.
I know,
Again,
but I
can
want to
say...
wait 1 second. I'll let you finish, right? Just let me finish. So if I say God is loving, what I mean is something like God has a psychological disposition that, in certain circumstances, he would sacrifice something of value for one's well-being. That's not what you mean at all, okay? I think that's what
Correct.
most people have in mind when they're predicating love or someone being loving, right? I'm trying to understand your proprietary notion of love is as being divorced from the value of someone valuing one's well-being and even sacrificing for someone's well-being. And you're
No, and I do have to kind of point out. I don't mean to interrupt Danny doing his thing. And maybe I'll piss praise off and he'll try to like strike me if I let it go for too long without talking. But still, like, I gotta point out, because we've seen several hours of when it was I who they consider low hanging fruit. Like, Christians always underestimate me. I kind of like it. It's like you still you think after 4 years they stop like underestimating me, but they just never do. But when it was it was just like this gangbang of Christians on Rage and Rage hate, and Rage is such a awful human being, and it led to this absolute insanity. Silence from the peons as Danny walks circles around Smokey Saint. Silence, because they do not. I mean, I'll get accused of not being able to follow along, but none of them do.
You're linking it to telos, and it's very confusing.
I don't see why it's confusing. If God is love, whatever he intends the agent to do would be on the spectrum of love, or desires the agent to do would be on the spectrum of love. I don't understand why that's confusing.
Well, actually, Kenny just said love is goodness expressed. Is that something you would accept?
If I'm gonna get through this, I'm gonna have to go to through extreme tooth care. So I'm gonna kind of put it on a different screen I haven't used up to now on this point. Go completely off camera for the rest of it, because I'm going to be swishing some mouthwash and, trying to get some comfort, because, speaking isn't really helping the toothache all that much. So I'm going to go to, where's my screen at that I want? Let me find it. I put it up here somewhere. There we are. Let me go to this screen. Oh, that's not quite the one I'm looking for. It's right there. All right. This one. All right. Boom. That'll work. That way I can kind of like do this, get through this stream, and then I'm thinking about a Sunday. Like there ain't no dentist open on Sunday, so I'm gonna have to get through Sunday, probably to make it through a dentist. I've been trying to find where the tooth broke with my tongue, but I can't quite find it. So I'm not even sure if I broke a tooth, but my tooth is hurting. So it does seem odd. Like it was like right after I ate dinner that this started happening. So I'm pretty sure I broke a tooth. Sucks. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna let it play, and I'm gonna get my shit.
Love is goodness expressed.
Then I can work with that.
Yeah, I don't know. Kenny might have to come in and actually defend that. I'm not sure if I would go right that way with it or use that as like a universal definition. Maybe he could come in and elucidate on that, but I'm not.
But that's not what you
Right
mean.
away.
But that's not what you mean.
Yeah, well, because then you're taking it out of its. I get why Kenny's probably saying that. It probably has to do with his idea of God being pure act. And I guess if he's going that way with it, then I would end up conceding, but I would need him to elucidate.
Okay. Well, you see, I just think that I really want to understand if your whole morality is based on this statement, God is love, God is good, right? That needs to be analyzed, right? And you're saying we can talk about it analogously because if it's analogous, they're going to be common properties in terms of our senses of love and the way when we predicate of non-God things. And the sense of love that you predicate of God, there's going to be a common property.
Well, you nailed it, because that's the issue. Then that is the methodology of discerning what is love and what is simply masquerading as love.
Sure, right. So then the interesting thing will be about the common property. It seems like for Kenny, it's going to be something seeking the good of others. That is basically how I understood it, right? Caring about the well-being of others, even to go as far as sacrificing something of value. That perfectly embodies the gospel.
Well, to make it.
All right, yeah. Let me turn the mic on. So we're gonna get to this very beautiful part, and it's gonna happen several times. And you just kind of heard it a little bit, because Smokey Saint is gonna start appealing to Kenny Rhodes, and it's going to get really, really, really odd. Just to kind of forewarn you, spoilers. It's gonna happen several times. Because Danny is just running circles around this dude. And you just kind of heard the first little instance of him appealing to Dr. Kenny Rhodes, who was in the chat earlier, having a big discussion about, Smokey Saint's sexual allegations in the side chat. You're going to hear an appeal, and it's going to get worse. And the pleas are going to become more and more desperate as we continue to go along here.
To make it easier and more in what we just discovered, I would say it would be supporting them or being conducive to them in their intentional plea.
Okay, so so do you think that the statement God is love and God is good, are those two different statements for you?
God is love and God is good.
If you're divine,
I would say yes. Those are both true. Yes.
Okay, they're both true, but do they mean the same thing?
I'll go with yes for right now. I would think that that's probably valid.
Okay, so now is that true by definition, or is it true by some other fact?
Well, it would be true again through the principle. I'm not sure how to answer that question, because it would be true through the principle of divine simplicity, that God isn't like loving or has a component of loveness to him or a piece of him. Like he himself is that which is love. So whatever appeals to his nature or goes along with the intentional state that flows from his nature is necessarily an expression of love.
All right. So God is good, is going to express something about God's nature, which is in fact good. The problem is for me that if you define or understand good just in terms of God definitionally, then the statement is going to be indistinguishable from a statement like God's nature is God's nature or God is God. That's the danger here of defining it that way.
I'm sorry. I don't quite see where that connects.
Well, so if we say something like a bachelor is an unmarried man, and if unmarried man is by definition a bachelor, then we could substitute, right? And so the statement, a bachelor is a bachelor and a bachelor is unmarried man, are going to have the same exact truth conditions and truth value, right? But the statement bachelor is a bachelor, or bachelor is unmarried man is vacuous and uninformative, right? So that's the danger of define. Whereas if we say Smokey is a bachelor, that's a little bit different. We're not defining.
Well, yeah, see, this is, and again, I think it's a conflation of terms. Like when I say like God is love, like that's not something like that we can completely quantify. Like I can't say I am love or you are love, even though I believe we both have the potentiality to express love. So like when I say God is love, like it's not the same thing as saying you are loving. You know,
Sure.
these are these. So if you're trying to just like equate terms, again, I think we're messing around with trying to make God like a finite variable that's directly relatable to something we already perceive, and that's my issue. That's not analogous then anymore.
What I'm trying to say is that the statement "a bachelor is an unmarried man."
Danny's trying. What I'm trying to say is, Smokey wants to push it to an area to where he feels like he might be comfortable. But he's so out of his comfort zone, and it's going to get worse for him before it gets better. And he's going to kind of take it out on me, I do believe. Like, this was at far tail end of the night. I was super tired at this point, hanging in there because, like, at this point, like, I just wanted to get one, like, final word because the original issue was, like, hey, rage and atheists are, like, pedo lovers and shit. So I wanted to give one final word before I left, and I do believe I do. It might be, I must have just missed the second censorship at this part. But, it's going to get worse for Smokey, and he's going to get out of it as soon as he can, as soon as I leave.
And the statement, Bill is a bachelor, Smokey is a bachelor, one statement is substantive, right? The other statement is not, okay? So the reason why the second statement is substantive is that it's not true by definition that Bill is a bachelor. Whereas in the case that bachelor's unmarried man is a definition. So in other words, statements, when they're true, are either going to be true by definition or they're not, right? That's a true dichotomy, okay? So if we say God is good, is that like saying Bill is a bachelor or Smokey is a bachelor?
It's not, because then this is the same problem I'm having, because you're talking about things that are easily definable, like in like specific terms. And what I'm saying is that like love itself as a conceptual doesn't fit those type of definitive definitions or terminologies. Like you can only draw it to analogous reference point because it doesn't fit this like constraints of finite definitions, like for instance a married man or a bachelor. That has a specific concept with specific limitations and specific understanding. When you're referring to God, you're not fitting him in a definition. You're not fitting him in a set of variables or limits or ranges. Like you're talking about him analogously. So you have to reference him just through likenesses, not specific.
He's trying to tell
That's
Danny
where
what
I
he
think
has
I'm
to
having
do.
Yeah,
an
but the
issue
statement
with
God is
your
good.
usage there.
The statement God is good is either going to be, this is a true dichotomy, a definition or not a definition. And it's either that you know which one it is or you don't.
It's a definition, but it's not like a specific one. And this is back to that idea of like an essence of something. Like even an essence of something is more than just the definition of it. I mean, we call it that, but there's something about it that we have the ability to recognize that is more than just the definition of what it is. The definition carries the proposition of what it is, but what it actually is, like in its full essence, that allows us to recognize it for what it is, that's transcendent to finite definitions.
And typically essences are not true by definition, typically. Although
well, that's what I'm talking about. See, so we can
but if it's not true by definition, I don't see how it's necessary, logically necessary.
Well, because not everything has to be, in order for it to be logically necessary, it doesn't have to be specifically defined. Like, I mean, this is again the idea of like fuzzy logic, where you don't have specific variables. You have ranges, or the variable itself is potentially unknown or not particularly specified. You can still logically utilize it, but just not the same way you do with classical philosophy.
Wait, so it seems like, do you think it's logically necessary that God is good? That's logically necessary.
Yes,
True
sure.
in all
Okay,
law. Okay,
sure.
so that means that is derivable from a logical theorem. Right? That's what it means to say it's logically necessary. It's basically a logical law.
So sorry, say that one more time.
Yeah, if something's logically necessary, it exhibits a logical theorem, right? It's just God is good doesn't seem like a logical theorem.
Well, but it is definitional. I mean,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, like you're saying like a logical theorem, like a logical theorem with like specific variables, or something that can be appealed to analogously or with fuzzy variables. I can't point to you or me or any other human being and say
About
that's
10
just
minutes
what
left.
love is like. That's love. Like I
Yeah,
can't like there's no way to do that. Like I would have to be able to point to God and say, now that is love. But I can't quantify God. I can't fit God into constraints or variables to say he's just like this. So let's put him in some classical philosophy logical equation and work with him. You know, that I can't do because again,
yeah.
he's not
I'm not
finitely
using. I mean,
quantifiable.
presumably you accept logical possibility, the three laws of logic, all of that. That's all I'm using for right now. And there's a distinction between something that's true essentially in the literature versus something that's true definitionally, right? In most theologians and philosophers that are essentialists distinguish between something that's true in virtue of its essence and something that's true in virtue of its definition. And so if it's true in virtue of its essence, right, it's not going to be an analytic statement. It's not going to be a statement true by definition. But earlier you said God is good is true by definition. So is the statement God is good?
All right, so and they're gonna ask for my analysis at some point, or I just start. Finally, I'll pipe it in. I'm trying to remember the very tail end of the night. But I mean, we what we've really been honestly witnessing, and it's been a series of philosophical questions and positions, and Smokey has tried to kind of implant himself as the superior and get it to the place that he wants, but Danny is just really knowledgeable on these types of philosophical conversations. I don't know the extent of Danny's education, but these are the conversations that he specializes in. Now, I never pretend to, and it's a good thing for an atheist like me to have somebody like Danny. And there's quite a few atheists and agnostics and even Christians that will be like really honest with their philosophy and have these really advanced conversations. I just kind of represent me, so it's a good thing for me that there are people out there that are willing and able to have these conversations against absolute frauds like Smokey Saint, who tries to pretend like they understand what the fuck they're talking about. But they have no idea if they actually come across somebody that actually knows what they're doing in these things. And you've kind of seen it, and it's going to get worse. And then I'm going to leave, and Smokey's going to get out of it.
Something that's true by definition or is true in virtue of some kind of metaphysical postulate, like an essence.
Well, see, now there's the breakdown because it is definitional, but it's not the type of definition that you can set up in these finite constraints or quantifiable variables. That's the issue.
I'm losing you, Smokey. Look, I don't know what it means to say there are different types of definitions.
Okay, so there is a difference between fuzzy logic and classical analytical philosophy. I'm sure you affirm that.
Well, there are paraconsistent logics. There's philosophical logics that outside of the classical domain, but I think they're kind of unintelligible. Right? I don't think they're true contradictions and stuff like that.
But they have the capacity to carry propositions. And they have utility to carry propositions, and that's the discovery of whether or not.
It's kind of funny as Stephanie, name one thing Danny brought to the debate now. Like Stephanie was like one of the people in the side chat that was like really kind of, cheerleading for Smokey last night. It was kind of funny. But one thing that Danny's contributed, he's trying to establish what Smokey actually knows. And he's trying to establish, I don't know, some kind of reasoning behind whatever logic Smokey was trying to utilize to, and not just Smokey, but at the point, like I said, when this all started, you know, almost all the Christians in the room were mocking me for having a stance against pedophilia. You remember the whole, you know, pedo bigot? They called me a pedo bigot, right? So I think Danny brought quite a bit, and philosophically speaking, you know, he just showed a superiority to somebody that claims to be superior and has pretty much marked his territory with each and every Christian in this room here. Pretty clearly, Stephanie. So, I mean, maybe you can't see it because you were kind of cheerleading for Smokey all night, but hey, that's on you, boo.
Not the propositions carry truth. The testament.
But do you think they're true contradictions?
If they're true or if they are contradictions, to verify the truth behind the proposition.
But I call them like I see them.
Look, there are a lot of pair-consistent fuzzy logics that accept true stuff like true contradictions. They deny the law of the excluded middle. Are you in that?
Right. No, I'm saying no. I'm not going that way with it. I'm saying that the type of logic that appeals to the idea that something. I wish Kenny would actually come in the room and stop just like making noise in side chat if he has something to contribute to this. But no, what I'm talking about is that in the idea of God himself, we can't formulate in our linguistics an adequate definition. Okay? So if God is love or God is goodness, it's the same problem. In as much as we can't fit God in a finite definitional quantifiable statement, therefore we can't with the things that he is as well, which is love, which is goodness. All we can do is appeal to what is accessible to us, which is some of these definitional constraints of how it filters out or how it actually applies.
I don't think I said you backed him. I just said you was cheerleading for him in the side chat. You was. I mean, quite a few people were. It's, you know, it happens. You get among the herd, and you say things. I saw. I read. It's all right. I don't hold no hard feelings. I think I held my end up pretty well through this whole thing, and now I think Danny's holding up his end really well, and I think Smokey's panicking a bit more and more, and we're gonna get to it. There's gonna be this really massive appeal for Dr. Kenny Rhodes, and God damn it, Dr. Kenny, why don't you come in?
The reality, but when we're looking at those things. We're not looking at the thing itself. We're just looking at its incidental properties.
Yeah. So earlier you said God is good is true by definition. Now you're saying it's not.
It is. See, again, like, dude, you just keep like dancing over what I'm saying here, Danny.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, because I'm saying it's definitional, but it's not the type. It's not the type of full, flushed out, quantifiable definition.
All right. So yeah, I remember now. I start laughing. I start turning my phone, my microphone on because at this point, last night, it's late and I'm just laughing. I mean, Danny's just running circles around Smokey, and I'm just laughing. And I don't pretend like I know and understand every little, philosophical nuance that Danny and Smokey just made. I mean, Smokey's was nonsense. I kind of followed along with Danny's line of questioning. I just didn't really follow along too well with Smokey's logic and response. I could be biased, I'll admit, but I was laughing, and I started turning my mic on, and that's going to lead to some issues for Smokey because, he can't take that. But I mean, seriously, honestly, you guys remember like earlier when they were censoring me, and they were like, Smokey was like, "There's no way I could ever finish a point ever," and I just literally sat there for like 40 minutes and said not a goddamn thing.
It's
a non-quantifiable definition.
Well, again, you're not listening to me, Danny. I'm saying that something is transcendent to reality, something that does not fit being quantifiable completely. You can't expect it to be so. And that seems like what you're trying to do.
Well, transcendent to reality just means it's not real.
This is the same problem like Jack and some of the other atheists do. Like they're perpetually locked in this realm of classical philosophical logic, and they're not considering the fact the whole claim of God is he's not quantifiable. And then you guys take the things that he is and demand them to be quantifiable. So like it's a definition. He is definitional. There is a definition. Can it be quantified in our finite minds or tongues? No.
I'm not. I don't know what you mean by quantification. The point is that you are sensing then that God is good by definition, correct?
Okay, sure. I don't feel like you're just not getting it.
Okay. Well, the point is that you're saying it's by definition, but it's not quantifiable. I don't quantifiable.
What if it's a definition that exists in another tongue that we don't know? Like, let's say it's a definition, but it's a definition that exists in a different tongue at a different dimensional plane, and that actually fits it, and we can't actually filter it down into our language. Does that finally make sense?
Well, I don't. Well, if it's true, it's not like the linguistic statement is true. The proposition is true. Right?
That's what I'm saying. Like we have limits on what we can carry in terms of a proposition and what we can quantify.
Yeah, I'm not getting it. The point is that you know that the proposition is true, and it doesn't matter. And I don't think propositions have locations unless you're
propositions. And well, no, I mean, okay, no, that's fine. Go ahead. I'm not going to quibble over that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the statement expresses a proposition. The statement "God is good" expresses the proposition.
I mean, I will give it to Smokey. Like, no way I could even try to hang in, like, you know, a conversation like this. This is not my type of conversation. So, you know, even though I think he's faking and trying to hang in there, he's doing a far better job than I would. And I do give credit where credit is due. Now, that doesn't take away from the fact that Danny just running circles around this dude now. And I think that that's really plain for anybody to see. Anybody that, like, if you're really honestly watching, even, like, Smokey supporters would have to see, like, all these people being quiet in the room right now. They understand that Smokey is getting schooled and they want none of that at all. And I find it beautiful. I ain't gonna lie. I find it beautiful. It's not pleasant when you're in the experience. I know that personally. It happened with me. Khalil Allah. Shit happened.
Proposition that God is good. That's true. It's going to be true in a certain kind of way. It's either going to be true because of some kind of essence that God has, or it's going to be true by the meanings of the terms, which means it's by definition. Kenny mentioned this analytic synthetic distinction. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Although you don't need to go strictly by that distinction. I just use true by definition, not true by definition. If it's true by definition, then you're going to get a vacuous statement like a bachelor's unmarried man. But if it's true substantively, like Smokey's a bachelor, that's a substantive statement because you're predicating something that's not in the term Smokey or in the name Smokey, the conceptually speaking, right? But then at that point, you've outsourced the concept of good, right? It can be of other things, right? Other essences. So I think that's kind of the problem.
You know, Danny's like in that mode when the rights start coming out. Like he makes a point and he's like, right, and he says it so snide. I mean, it's like yeah, I'm right, and you know I'm right, right? You know, you know, Danny's in the zone. You know he's in the zone. And speaking of Danny, and he's gone. All right, I forgot about this. Like, I guess his phone died or something. Although usually when he's on his phone, you can barely hear the dude. So I don't know. Maybe he rage quit and came back. Maybe his phone died. Who knows? But I'm going to talk a little smack. You guys know me. I've been quiet for a long time. I was really hoping to, you know, like have a chance to have some grand finale. I've been waiting all this time. Danny, I want to thank you because like you just did what he was trying to do to me. I'm not quite there yet. It's going to take me like 15 to 20 years of philosophical
Relax,
studies.
relax, fag boy. Relax, fag boy. My phone died.
Oh, so the bigot's back. All right, continue.
I'm not a bigot unless you can make an argument for it. Otherwise, you're a slandering, false accusing piece of subhuman shit. So can you make an argument? Can I hear the argument? Can I hear the argument? I'm a bigot.
You just literally got bigoted, dude.
There we go. Stupid dumb faggot that
he
can't
got when
land a
Smokey
point
left
to
the
save
room.
his fucking life. There we go.
Oh, he's real triggered now. Yeah, have a good night, SPM. Smokey's super triggered now. I did talk a little smack. Dare me. Oh my gosh. So yeah, come in with the bigotry and then ask me why I think he's bigoted. I don't know. And again, you know, I forgot that does happen again at the end because, you know, Smokey gets triggered and he's a bigot.
Okay.
Oh,
so
you're
back
making
to
my
the
point
point.
for me, but go ahead.
You got excited when Smokey
You're
left the room. You thought
so
Rage, trust me.
All right, immediately back on me now, just for a moment, right? Like, and Vecco pipes it. Like, where you been at, Vecco? Where you been at this whole time that Danny and Smokey were, where?
The adults are talking.
Yeah.
There's about 20 years of maturity before you can even approach a topic.
Literally trying to
I guarantee
go to
you have
bed.
no clue about anything that was said for the last
No,
hour.
I
guarantee that you have no clue about anything that was said by you.
Are you sure?
I will guarantee it. I
Are you
will
sure?
guarantee it. Yes, I'm sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Repeat something. Repeat whether what you think Danny's core point is and what you think my core point is.
Yeah, I like to hear it.
You want
What's
me
that?
to
Crickets? Is that crickets?
So Danny,
is it that conversation is basically wasted on you? Is that what it is?
So I mean, Danny's just asking a bunch of questions, trying to figure you out, and it's been relatively brilliant.
Oh my gosh, bro. It's hilarious.
But that's what it.
Like now they're all laughing again. It's all good times again.
I am trying to figure out what's Smokey.
I've been.
I'll tell you what. Here's the thing. I would yield at this point.
Isn't that what's been going on?
I made my point is, and maybe Kenny would be able to elucidate it better.
You guys just you hear that? Maybe Kenny would be able to elucidate it better. Maybe Kenny would be better in this. I wouldn't get it. Danny wouldn't have just abused me if Kenny would have been here. I automatically laugh when I say shit.
But
right?
here's my take on it too. Was the idea that in principle, when appealing to God, see, like I don't think God fits a definition that I can construct.
Why are you so mad,
I do think he has a definition, but I don't think it's something
we've gotten along so well lately.
Shut up, Rage. I don't think it's something that I can quantify.
I've been quiet this whole fucking time. Fuck you.
Oh my god, dude.
You bloviate way too much, and you sound retarded.
Praise, can you put him in the back so I can finish with Danny real quick?
Yes, and I have to say something really
Appreciate
quick.
it.
I want to say thank you,
Okay.
Carl.
Put me in the. I knew it. I knew they censored me again. I knew that shit. I'm even starting to doubt myself. I'm like, God damn it! I knew I was censored twice. Like, when does it happen? I'm about to leave. Yep, here we go. Yep, freedom loving Americans, freedom loving, love the freedom, love free speech, censoring the raging atheist. Back again, I guess.
Shut your mouth, boy!
Are you so
Just let
weak
me.
that you
I
have
just
to
want to
censor
finish
me?
with Danny.
Are you so
I want to be
weak?
able to finish with Danny. I want to be able to
I
finish.
can't even
with
say
Danny.
thank you for my super sticker from Carl Gedner. Thank you for your contributions, brother. Good to see you, man. By the way, God bless, brother. All right, go ahead, Smokey.
So and I'll just try to finish this up for you real quick, Danny, because this is again where, just so you understand where I'm coming from, and you may disagree, you may have a different take on it, but this is where I'm trying to come from. This is why it's hard to get this into a framework to where it's really presentable, and maybe Kenny can elucidate it better. But this is what I'm trying to say: is that God Himself, or the components or the essence of Him, does have a definition. But it's not the type of thing that I believe that we can grasp here on this plane. So when you ask me, is it definitional? I'll be like, yeah. And then you're going to be like, well, what's the definition? And I'm going to say, well, because I only think I can define it analogously. I can't define it precisely, which means I'm not attributing it like a specific variable that can then be appealed to in like classical philosophy. I'm simply saying God does have a definition, or His essence is like He is love, He is goodness. Like that is definitional. Now, can I, at my finite level, my finite thinking, take this transcendent concept beyond everything and fit it into this, specific finite definition to then, say, here's the definition and therefore it's definitional? No, because again, the whole principle is I'm appealing to Him analogously, not specifically or through equivocation. And that was the idea. So when you're saying like, well, is He definitional? And if He is, then give me the definition. That's where it's falling apart with me, if that helps.
Yeah, I don't want to be asking what's the definition of God. That's going to be pretty. I agree with you. That's not easy. I can't even define what I mean by chair sometimes. Okay,
Right.
but
Exactly. And that's what I'm talking about. Like by his. So when I say God is love, that's kind of the same thing. We're talking about
well,
this transcendent conceptual.
All I did was I just make sure I understood what you were coming from. But what I'm trying to say is I'm not asking for the definition of God. I'm asking if something is true by definition. Let me give you an example. God is a mind. Okay, that's not the definition of God, but it's definitional, right? If God weren't a mind, there'd be a contradiction because we're talking then
I'm
about
okay with that.
right? So, in the same way that it might be that a bachelor is a man, that's not the definition of a bachelor. It's definitionally true, however. So, I don't.
Well, I don't know. I think in that particular instance, unless you could elucidate on me, I would say that in that instance, that is the definition.
No. A bachelor? No, bachelors are unmarried men.
So Danny is, teaching, Smokey. Smokey's a student at this point, so of course they have to throw up a meme of me, who was just censored for I don't know a couple minutes there, right? Put in the background. Yeah. Smokey came in talking smack to me, and when I responded, Smokey demanded I be put in the back. Freedom-loving American Smokey, who doesn't censor nobody, supposedly, but he censors people all the time. But now, Danny's literally just really like going into him now, and so they have to throw up the LOL of me there, which is that face is pretty, even on a cow.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
They're not men. The definition of bachelor is not a man. Right.
Okay.
Because there are men that are not bachelors.
Sure. Okay. That's fine. Yeah.
But the statement that a bachelor is a man is nonetheless true by definition, right? Because the definition of
but that's the definitional component. Like if I was to say a bachelor is an unmarried man, that's a specific definition that there's no wiggle room in that.
Right. That's the definition.
Right.
But there are statements that are definitionally true, but are not offering the definition of the term.
Sure. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay,
so we might say God is a mind. That's true by definition, but it's not true that the definition of God is a mind. After all, we're minds,
okay.
We're not God.
I follow you. Go ahead.
So I don't mean to be asking for the definition, right? But the point is that God is love. There are probably other properties. I know that you hold the DDS, but let's put that on the side for right now. If you need, unless you can invoke it, you can.
It's been bigoted. Interspersed throughout the night. Why not praise? Praise is that ultimate Smokey acolyte now. So now that praise just openly, speaks these derogatory words, praise is much more open to that shit. So yeah, such a cultist.
But the idea is that God is love. That doesn't exhaust the definition of God. I'm fine with that.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But there's still a question about what makes it true.
Twitter.
Is that what you mean by God? In the same way that if you said that God is a mind, that's what you mean by the term. That's it. What you mean by a term is just its definition. Or
what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is like for God, everything that's constructed is at its best definitional. It's never, and I think you already concede with.
But then you're throwing away essence. I think then if you're doing that.
No, I'm just saying the essence isn't necessarily able to be constructed as the definition. There can be definitional components or references to it, but nothing that I would ever construct would be like the definition of love, because love is God. God is love. So. And I wouldn't ever create anything that is the.
That might be my favorite one. Might be a little thinner than I actually am now, so I'm digging that.
Definition of God, and so
maybe
then I wouldn't be able to ever create anything that is the definition of love or is the definition.
Wait, I'm confused. Are you denying the distinction that something that when we talk about a truth, something that is true because of its essence versus true because of the meanings of the terms or its definitional?
Yeah, I mean they've been doing it for about 3.5 hours now, so You know, I've learned to take that kind of shit with a grain of salt. I'm really trying to, like, you know, see it as flattery. When, you know, it's a lot easier to really get through those moments when you're just like, oh yes, I'm so impactful that I've infected these people in such a way that they actually spend their time doing this, because it somehow makes them think that they're relevant. So yeah, flattery. It's how I kind of get through those moments.
Its definition. There's
No, I was just using your point to draw that perspective. That, like, talking to God, like, I can't provide like the definition. And if I'm talking about something like he
I
is,
don't mean
like
to be
love,
asking for that.
like love or goodness, like I can't give the definition of that either, because again, it's transcendent. It's who he is. It's beyond it. I can't.
Right. And
Good point, B.
you did earlier.
They're
as well,
keeping it up
Kenny,
for
in
a
the
while,
chat.
ain't they? Like, praise really must,
but
like.
I might not. You
know, I shouldn't do this, but you know, he's keeping it up so long. I have to ask: is like this the picture praise goes to sleep to?
It may not even be exhaustive, and that's fine. We just want something
It's
that
not exhaustive.
what you mean by the term, such that we can have this concept. That we're sharing a conceptual scheme. We're actually,
Well, yeah. Whenever like you were asking me, like, definition of love or definition of good, like, I was giving you answers that were definitional. Like, nothing I was giving you was exhaustive. You know, like, I can say,
But,
like,
but I wanted to object to that, because
Okay.
if God is good, so there in the literature, when the essentialism or essence has to deal with what's entailed by the existence of a thing, not what's entailed by the meaning of the concept, or what the concept entails, right?
Okay.
So
Sure.
the idea is that the essence of a unicorn is going to be might entail something different than the essence than the concept of a unicorn on and so that's kind of so for instance a good example of this that philosophers use is H2O and water. So they would say that water is essentially H2O, but it's not that the concept of water gets you H2O. There were people 3,000 years ago that understood the concept of water, but they didn't know what H2O was. So the common understanding is that water is H2O essentially, but not definitionally or conceptually, right? So if you're saying God is good or God is love, and that's some kind of conceptual or definitional truth, then you're letting go of essence.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree, and I also don't think I'm doing that. But maybe I lost you there.
Well, do you think if you said that God is either that it's by God's essence that he is love, or that it's by the meaning of the term God or the concept of God entails love, right? Those are going to be two different questions.
Yeah, you might not forget. You might not know quite how you got here, Smokey, because you know you really haven't been in the conversation for a while. And Danny walked you right into where he wanted to walk you. Now, you know, as a person that doesn't understand philosophy, so when I get kind of cornered as you have been, I can say that really sucks. It does. But in this instance, it sucks for you, my dude.
Questions.
Right. Yeah, no, the principle for me is the idea that God himself is love. And love is to do, and now again, definitional, not the definition, but like in terms of referring to it or its incidental properties, we see that what it filters down into. Now, that doesn't give us the full scope of what love is, but it will give us ideas of what it is, analogously by how it filters down what its incidental properties are. But like, if like the same concept of a chair, like I recognize a chair through its incidental properties, like what actually manifests of what its essence. I'm not fully defining its essence, like in an exhaustive way, like which you seem to affirm, but I'm able to define its incidentals. Like I can look at what flows from the essence of God, which I can't necessarily completely define, and relate to it definitionally by applying definitions to things of how it presents itself, like being supererogatory or being self-sacrificing to highest ultimate benefit to another agent or something like that. I can look at incidentals that flow from it, but that's not, defining the essence or the source. It's simply defining the incidental of it.
Yeah, I guess I'm not really. I mean, look, it's.
I wish Kenny would come the hell in the room. He should be timed out if he doesn't come in the room.
Oh yeah, there we go again. I really wish Kenny would come into the room. He should be timed off if he doesn't come in the room because he's in the side chat. He's not coming in. Dr. Kenny ain't coming in. Dr. Kenny wants no piece of Danny. We should be. This should be getting really close now. Yes, I'm going to be leaving very soon now. So we're almost to the end. Finally. And we're going to have to play it a little bit. We're going to have to play a little bit. We're going to have to see the shit talk. We're going to have to see Smokey concede completely. Because Dr. Kenny, please come in the room. Ain't coming in the room. He's not coming in the room.
Look, I mean, it's either that.
Why are you pleading for Kenny to come in the room, coward?
Well, because well, first of all, he's a PhD scholar.
Who's
And he
this on
might
the
be
screen?
able to clarify.
So you need Kenny to explain for yourself. I get it, Smokey.
Well, where's some of the
I know he
maybe
ain't talking.
since Kenny is making a lot of noise inside chat.
No, you ain't talking.
I figured he would have an ability to maybe clarify.
I get it. I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed.
You're such a
y'all continue your
Go
shit.
to bed. Go to bed.
Yeah.
You're
Just go to
worthless
bed,
for the
man.
conversation. I assure you.
I really am at this point because
You really are.
Yeah.
You really are.
I just want to thank you again,
You should
Smokey,
stop
for
talking.
accusing me of being a pedo lover.
Stupid faggot and a pedo supporter.
Yeah,
that does.
check your arrest record. Y'all have a good.
Don't
night.
have one. Don't have.
Later,
You can keep
Rage,
trying to
take
sell
care, man.
slander if that's all you got, because that is all you have, Rage. You can't contend with my arguments, so you have to go to ad hom fallacies, and it is an ad hom fallacy because he's dodging my argument to attack me personally, which means his only offer to.
I mean, dude literally called me like a pedo lover, and my point is simply like Smokey not the best argumentation. When my name's never been associated to fucking a kid. That would be you, my dude. That would be you. So I throw that little dig in there. Now, let's see how long Smokey continues with Danny.
To my point of showing that he's actually a pedo-loving faggot is to attempt to attack me personally, the source of the argument, rather than deal with the argument. That's rage. There you go. Congratulations. So anyway, my point was that
cold out here, man.
maybe Kenny could actually come in and maybe clarify where we might have had some like two trains passing in the night. I feel like at some level,
Everybody got quiet.
we were talking past each other a little bit, but I'll concede at this point. I think we've gotten awful deep in the weeds on
That's
this one.
fine.
Anyway.
I'll end with.
Dr. Kenny ain't coming in. I'll concede. Rage is gone. I'll concede because I just got my ass handed to me.
I'll just tell you.
Smokey, I think there was like a little glitch there for about 20
Well, let him
seconds.
finish real quick, Dave. Hold on.
Yeah, just
No,
very
it was,
quickly.
we lost your audio for like, did anybody else notice that?
No, he was still talking.
It was good for
Yeah,
me.
but very. To
I
wrap
saw
up,
that thing spinning
the
around on
reason
his
why-
picture and nobody else.
Dave, let him.
The reason why I have trouble with essence in general, even secularists invoke essence.
Right now, I don't go to bed like right away. I do have some fun in the side chat because a lot of people in the side chat. I support Smokey, and why is Rage coming with these false allegations against the great Smokey State when like Smokey's literally had a presentation at one point trying to prove that I am a pedophile lover, and not just I, but atheism, all of secularism. Yeah, and it went for quite a while. So I start talking a little smack, like, why do you guys protect this dude? All right. Jill is going to go up here. Jill's going to make the comment like he usually does about, of course I'm into having sex with animals as well. So you got to throw that in there. But a really long pile on. of a night that went absolutely butt-ass crazy. And then, Danny came in and did his thing with Smokey. And I think, overall, it's not only a reflection of just how awful Christians can be, but Danny was really able to show just how intellectually inferior Smokey Saint is when he comes across real competition on the philosophical level with, he tries to pretend like he's so smart and he knows what he's talking about. And oh my God, Rage is so stupid. When he actually comes across somebody that really, that's what Danny does. Well, doesn't work out so well. It's again another Matt Powell thing. He does it with Matt Powell does it with his creationism, with his debates against evolution. Matt Powell doesn't have much interest in actually debating people that know about evolution. He would rather debate atheists that he deems to be low hanging fruit. Somebody that's not real keen on the science behind evolution. Not like some of the science communicators in the community. So I thought it was a really interesting thing that because I was back and forth, because I usually don't show these conversations. When I go into a room, I don't, there was a long period of time where I was just showing those conversations. So I haven't really done that lately. And I was kind of back and forth if I was going to do it today or if I was going to have a little open room. And ultimately, I decided I must, because it was, well, you saw it. If whatever parts that you saw, throughout the day, I've been roughly streaming in all today, right around 7 hours, it looks like. So I think it is time to call it a night. I want to thank you guys for watching. As always, I'm going to see you soon.